No, you're not. She's a
If you're driving through the country on a lazy...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. Please, I have a question for you. And answer this question in your head, but what is finding life? According to Kevin Warren, finding life is finding love, identity, foundation, and encouragement. Kevin Warren is an author, a professional speaker, a consultant, and he's also the CEO, founder of the Life Group. Kevin Warren is also my friend. We've been friends for 16 years. Our relationship through high school was legit. Our relationship post high school, still legit. We don't always see each other. However, through social media, through mobile communication, we've continued our friendship. Kevin Warren is doing something that I think a lot of people want to do. Help those in need. More importantly, help the youth. Help the youth find love, identity, foundation, and encouragement. Do me a favor. Grab something to write on and grab something to write with. Write down this name, Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren, Kevinwarren. Write down this title, Finding Life. Finding Life, the book, can be found and purchased on Amazon.com. Or you can personally reach out to Kevin Warren via Facebook at Kevin Warren Life Group, or even on Instagram at Kevin_. Hold on. Wait, one second. I'm about to screw that up. His Instagram is the life_guy. The life_guy. Don't let me screw that up because I don't want you to go searching for something you can't find. Reach out to Kevin. I plan to have Kevin on the show in a few weeks. However, if you have some time, please check out his story and what his movement is all about. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we all want to do something that's positive and creates a positive movement with a strong impact. I work in the world of nutrition services at the education level. My professional goal is to ensure every student is being fed and fed well when they are at school. Whether it's our national school breakfast program, our national school lunch program, or even our after school supper program. When students are in an educational facility within the Portland Public School District, I want them to not have to worry about food. Feeding students is extremely important because for some students, once they leave school, food insecurity is something they face. I've decided to partner with Kevin Warren to push my new Chug for a Purpose campaign. A campaign that I hope make its way all across craft beer and non-craft beer communities. CHUG is the acronym for Creating Help for Underprivileged Groups, something that I came up with 4 of my friends from the craft beer community and 2 of my friends, just really close friends. It's a total of 7 of us. For me, creating help for underprivileged students or underprivileged groups is ensuring that kids who face food insecurity receive the help they need to fight hunger. For you, creating help for underprivileged groups, it could mean establishing a year-round backpack program for underprivileged groups and those students who need school supplies and learning tools at home. For Kevin, creating help for underprivileged groups is finding sponsorship for underprivileged students to receive a copy of his book when he's doing public speaking events to promote the Finding Life initiative. This campaign is still in the works, and I look forward to pushing it soon. However, I need the help of you. the listener, the person who will watch this video and share this video, share this audio podcast, the person who wants to create help for underprivileged groups. And that's creating help by chugging one beer at a time or donating to a certain cause put on through the Chug campaign. So let's get on board. Let's do something for those in need. Our communities need us, and we need our communities. So who's with me? And before I end, always drink responsibly. And you know what? I'm going to start it off.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself.
That's pretty empty to me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is You Heard It Here First. I don't have to tell you who I am, but I will. I'm Charlie. I'm the host. I'm the ringleader. I'm the Lord of You Heard It Here First. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at YouHeardSBP. Click that subscribe button wherever it's at. It may be on that side, or I don't know. But click that subscribe button, whether it be YouTube, SoundCloud, or even iTunes. I'm back in the cockpit with a new episode. And you know what? First things first, this is episode 10. It's a milestone episode. Thank you very much for rocking with me. Thank you for being with me from the start, whether it was the C&J Sports and Beer podcast, whether it was speaking sports with me at the bar, in the barbershop, or wherever that may be. I appreciate everyone who I exchange sports-related content with, beer-related content with, and people who watch the show and support me. I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for helping me get through 0 shows to the 10th show. I really appreciate that. But what do we have on the docket tonight? Oh, let me see. Hold out or sell out. Hold out or sell out. If you're a craft brewer, are you selling out or are you holding out? And also read an article a couple days ago about the biggest, and I mean the biggest threat to craft beer. 3 W's. And I'm not talking about women, weed, and weather, Kendrick Lamar. I'm talking about wine, whiskey, and weed. During the beer segment, or our first segment of the show, I'm going to be speaking with my man Randy over hold out or sell out, and or who is or what is the biggest threat to craft beer. In the second segment of the show, we're going to get into the NFL, speak on some notable draft picks or the results of the draft based on the individual who watched the draft. So that's going to be me, myself. It's going to be my man Steve, who is not new to the show. And then it's going to be Jason. Jason. First time on the show. I'm hoping for many more. So I'm extremely excited to hear his take. And also, we're going to speak on his Kansas City Chiefs. They drafted a quarterback, which is kind of strange since they still have Alex Smith and he is relatively young. From there, it's coming to a point where Steve and I need to decide, are we still going to roll with the Chicago Bears, or it's time for us to, I don't want to say jump on a bandwagon of another team, but maybe, just maybe, rock with somebody for a season, because we already know that the Chicago Bears season this season is just about over. So I'm already looking for draft 2018. And the third segment of the show, moving along, I'm going to speak on some NBA, give my thoughts on what's next for the Toronto Raptors. You know what I'm saying? Who has the biggest pressure to win Game 6? As you know, Game 6 or Game 5 is being played right now between the Boston Celtics at home against the Washington Wizards, and they putting a beat down on those boys. So who has the most pressure to go in and win Game 6 and close this series out? Because if not, the Cavs ain't going to do nothing but rest, and they're going to go full throttle when they play whoever Game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. From there, a couple weeks ago or a month or two ago, however long it was, we saw Tracy McGrady get inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame. So I'm just wondering, will Joe Johnson receive the same treatment? Will he be considered a Hall of Fame basketball player after it's all said and done? And then from there, it's this quick question that someone asked me. What has to happen for the Cavaliers to, I guess, be dethroned from the Eastern Conference? You know what I'm saying? Be removed from that top spot. And I want to share my thoughts on that. And in the fourth and final segment, we're going to continue with the NBA. And we'll probably finish it up with who's a better matchup, or what's the best matchup that viewers would like to see for the Western Conference Finals. So do we want to see the Warriors face the San Antonio Spurs or the Houston Rockets? I don't know. Maybe Ray will know, because Ray's going to be with me during that fourth segment to talk about that. And then just a couple weeks ago, or even a week ago, I was discussing with my man Randy about Chris Paul. Obviously, people in LA want Chris Paul to stay, but for his career in trying to win a ring or just a change of pace and a change of scenery, should he roll with the Knicks, roll with the Spurs, or head back to New Orleans? In this case, we totally said, forget the Knicks. We're not going to worry about that. And forget the Clippers. We're not going to worry about them. What is a better look for Chris Paul? CP3, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Kawhi Leonard versus CP3, Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins. It's a good thing. I want to talk to Ray about that, because he's a basketball guy. He's a Los Angeles native. So I'm seeing all things Lakers, obviously, but I'm sure he pays attention to the Clippers. And Chris Paul is a great basketball player, so he's someone that you have to pay attention to. And being that Ray is from LA, I want to ask him about a pair of sneakers from Lonzo Ball. You know, if he was a player out on the court, whether that be high school, college, or NBA, and he had to choose between shoes to wear, whether it be the Zoe 2 by Big Baller Brand or the Curry 3 by Under Armour, which shoe would he be rocking on the court? And to finish up tonight, after the basketball game, Charles Barkley has a 2-part new TV series where he will cover race in America. So that's the rundown for the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. As always, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to pause for a quick 10, 15, 20-second break to give my man Randy time to jump in the hangout. So stay locked, stay tuned. This is You Heard It Here First, and we will be back. We will be back.
I sail on in my paper ship. The sea is made of fire. I ride my horse of nuts and bolts. We're made to never tire. The world is just a simple circle. I've got to keep on turning.
Fooling around, ladies and gentlemen. Fooling around. Thank you for tuning in. This is You Heard It Here First. You rock with me, Charlie. And during the first segment of the show, like I said, we have Randy in the co-pilot seat with me, ladies and gentlemen. Just waiting on him. Decided to send the link a little later than usual so I can get through the introduction of the show, because it always throws me off when you like send the link to everybody and you tell them, hey, I want you to jump in at this time. And I know Randy enjoyed watching the show, so he's not the type of person that'll come in and like make all kinds of noises and things. But a few of my other buddies that have been on, and then they'll just come on and I'm like speaking and I'm kind of distracted by their background noise and all that stuff. But I know Randy, he isn't like that. So, you know what I'm saying? On, I guess you can say, the 10th show, the Milestone show, we want to make sure, man, everything is crispy clean. So with that being said, I'm going to wait for Randy to get in. And I'm going to partake in another drink, because like I said, what's the use of having a Milestone show and you can't celebrate? Now, it's not like I'm sipping on something strong, you know what I'm saying? Something long, you know, I'm something that'll knock me back. This was actually my beer mile beverage. And I was supposed to complete the beer mile on April 22nd. Obviously, I didn't get to it, or I didn't accomplish it, or I haven't completed the beer mile. But that's because, you know, had some schedule issues. But this weekend, when we head up to the beach and celebrate Mother's Day for my lovely lady, I will attempt the beer mile. Now, it's going to be a modified beer mile. It's not going to be a traditional beer mile. I'm gonna have to set it up in a way to where it works for me, because I'm not gonna be near a track. I'm gonna be in, I guess you can call it like beach area, but Northwest beach area. It's not like your sunny Southern California beaches. This is like extremely, might as well just call it the coast opposed to the beach. So that's where I will complete my beer mile. But that's where why I'm sipping on a 5.1%. Which my man Randy, who just jumped in, he would call it Zima beer. But ladies and gentlemen, my man Randy is here. Randy, what's going on with you? How you doing today?
I'm good, man. Chilling. I'm actually hanging out with our mutual friend Kale tonight. Kale's upstairs right now watching a little TV. Oh
man, hey, you know what? Hey, if he has enough time to come down to make a cameo appearance, you heard it first. You heard it here first. And everybody else would appreciate it. But you know what I'm saying? Since you have company today, we're going to get you through the show, Randy, so you can get back up, chill with the homie Kale. And, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully I can chat it up with you guys Friday night hangout. You know, I should have some time to do that. But we're going to get into it, ladies and gentlemen. So first thing I want to say, I mean, unless you live under a rock and you believe macro beer and micro beer is still beer at the end of the day, now is the time for you to turn your headphone volume up or turn your speaker volume all the way up to the max to prepare yourself for why Randy isn't a fan of big beer squeezing out little beer. So here we go. Last week, in the craft beer community at least, we watched North Carolina's beloved Wicked Weed Brewing sell out to AB InBev, and then we saw and witnessed Lagunitas sell the remaining 50% of the portion that they own to Heineken. As far as I know, I haven't had many things from Wicked Weed, but they were founded in 2012 by a number of people. A guy named Walt and Luke Dickinson, Ryan, Rick, and Denise Gunthy. I probably butchered that. Randy, you probably know how to pronounce their last name better than me, because I mean, you live in that area, and I'm sure you were a big fan of Wicked Weed before they decided to jump ship. But they added their brand to AB InBev's the high-end line, a line that was established in 2015, which includes brands such as Stella, Shock Top, along with former craft beer brands, Goose Island, Blue Point, 10 Barrel, Golden Road, Devil's Backbone, Virtue Cider. I mean, a number of former craft breweries that were beloved by certain people, not beloved now at this point since they sold out. So to some, like I said, the purchasing of micro beer by macro beer is a process of squeezing a little guy out to gain full control over the beer market. This is a serious thing, and I mean an extremely serious thing, because it forces beer lovers to boycott and never support brands and craft beer brands that they really loved and enjoy. I'm one of those individuals who understand, first, it's a business. And the passion drives this business. However, at the end of the day, money and future financial stability for years and years and years to come is important. I also understand that there's a big difference between non-craft beer and craft beer. And I totally understand that people are entitled to the way they feel about macro beer squeezing out micro beer and trying to take over the entire beer market. How can I put it? For me, as long as the beer is good, I'll consume it. You know, that's just how I feel, because beer is important to me, but it's one of those things that is not necessarily important to me. So as long as the beer is good, I'll drink it. Now, I'm not saying I'm just going out and pounding Bud Lights and Budweisers all the time, because that beer is not necessarily good to me, but is good to other people. So for me, as long as the beer is good, I'll drink it. And one thing I mentioned to Randy before, macro beer got me into the craft beer game. You know, I've been in a craft beer game since 2011. Before I consumed beer, I mean, I was drinking beer that was considered to most as craft beer, but it was, you know, hidden behind the curtain of AB InBev. So, you know, being from Michigan, but living in San Diego, California at the time, I didn't drink beer. I knew nothing about the craft beer scene until I got into the business of working for a big beer company. And that's how I found out. But during that time, work for big beer, I mean, I guess you can say I was drinking domestic beer, but I was drinking the line of craft beer that was craft beer before it was sold out. So I still would consider it craft beer at the time because I was one of those individuals who didn't know. But now I understand, and I haven't really touched a domestic beer in a very long time, unless it was offered to me, unless it's happy hour and it's $2.75 a pint, like I did last night, just something real quick when me and the lady and the kiddo was getting some food during happy hour. So I guess to wrap it up here, I guess I've just decided to let Randy bring it tonight. So within the next 10 seconds, Randy, the floor is yours. But one thing I want to know before we end this topic, and something I hope you can cover during the time you're speaking, is what's your biggest gripe? From the 5th gripe to the number 1 gripe, what really bothers you the most about selling out? I want to know that. I also want to know, what would you prefer to take place? And the last thing I want to know, just however you decide to dish it out and you decide to lay it out for me and others, what major brands have sold out that you really enjoy? That's what I want to know first. You know, from 5 to 1, what bothers you the most, and what would you prefer take place, and what major brands have sold out that you really enjoyed?
Well, it's not just. I don't have 5 things that bother me. There's one thing that bothers me about it. But before I get into that, I want to say I don't have a problem with I don't have a problem with breweries quote unquote selling out, because I understand that everyone needs an exit strategy, right? I mean, especially if you're one of the OG brewers, and your name is not, you have this this $1 billion industry, stocks, you sell stocks and stuff like that. But take, for example, Tony McGee, right? I don't think Tony has any kids from Lagunitas, so he doesn't really have anybody he can leave his brewery to. It's not like Tony's getting any younger, so at some point you gotta try to look for an out. My problem isn't necessarily with the people who sell out, because they need that exit strategy. And my problem isn't with the liquid that Anheuser-Busch makes, but Bud Light, Budweiser, take any of the beers in their portfolio that were not formerly craft, are very difficult styles of beer to make. The American Adjunct Lager is a beer that doesn't provide a lot to stand behind. So when you make that beer, you have to make it flawless. It's crystal clear, and if subtle changes in flavor are very noticeable. And there's something to be said about the fact that you can go from Helsinki, Finland, to Sydney, Australia, and order a Bud Light, and it tastes exactly the same. That's a marvel to brewing. So they know how to brew. My problem isn't with the liquid. My problem is with their business practices. And the latest, example that's provide evidence of that is today. The story broke. I think Great Notion actually spoke on this.
Yeah, I think I texted you guys. I didn't go in depth because I started, the light turned green, and I was like, oh damn. Well, let me do what I have to do. But go ahead. I apologize for that. But
no, you're good. I saw their actual post on Facebook, and I think some Casagria out of Oxnard, California. Both of them made posts basically saying that Anheuser-Busch has essentially cornered the market on South African hops. It's for lack of a better expression, the one dealer from South Africa selling their hops. Anheuser-Busch has bought all of them. They now control the hop supply coming from South Africa. So that's the type of thing that's indicative of where we can expect how craft beer will be impacted by Anheuser-Busch's meddling, or InBev's meddling in it. If they restrict one of the essential ingredients to beer from a particular region that provides a particular terroir as it relates to beer, and now craft brewers don't have access to it. There's no reason for us not to expect the same thing to happen with real estate in retail locations. There's only going to be a matter of time before Anheuser-Busch starts pushing their craft brands more than anybody else. They already have prime eye level space on shelves, so they have the prime spots, and then they're going to start going to the lesser and lesser and lesser prime spots with their craft brand. So that being said, I mean, that's what I think craft beer has to fear. It's when these acquisitions happen, craft breweries it's going to be more and more difficult for them to get to market, simply because there isn't space for everybody on the shelves. We have like 5,300 craft breweries in the country right now. it's hard for everybody to get on shelves. So that coupled with, I understand the exit strategy. What I would like to see happen, I wish that Stone and somebody started this. I think they tried to do this a year or two back, and I'm not sure how successful it was, but I would like to see some type of craft beer consortium where if a brewery decides that they want to get out because they need to cash in their chips and it's time to retire, if somebody decides to make that decision, then shares in that brewery can be bought by other craft breweries. I don't know how realistic that is. I haven't really given a whole lot of thought to the economics behind such a venture, but I mean, I would like to see there be an option other than just going to AB InBev. And we've seen too many times where craft breweries have sold to these guys and the quality of their product has suffered. Some people say, well, Bourbon County Stout is still a delicious beer, one of the best barrel-aged beers in the country, the first to ever do it. Well, that's because Goose Island structured their sale in a way that gave them, they still had, they retained control over their barrel-aged series and their large format series like Paris Jacques, Sophie, Matilda, those large bottle formats. They retained of those beers. However, if you look at Honkers, you look at 212, those beers began being brewed at Anheuser-Busch facilities, and people who didn't even know that they had sold to Anheuser-Busch noticed the quality of that beer going down. So, I mean, eventually you get to a point where the bottom line becomes a focus and it loses the craft part of craft beer and it just becomes beer. And it sucks.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the part of the Bourbon County brand stout, because I know a ton of people out there that will bash big beer, but they're still drinking Bourbon County brand stout. And I'm glad you pointed that out. It's something I already knew, but a lot of the times you read threads on Facebook or in beer groups, wherever the case may be, and you see individuals will post that they're drinking Bourbon County brand stout, and then you listen to all the comments afterward. Oh, you're a sellout. That's not craft beer. This, that, and the third. And essentially, it's not. But as you mentioned, they made sure that you can have this. That's all fine, but we want to keep this because we were the starters of this and we made this what it is, and now everyone still love it, whether you're backing us or not. So I'm glad you answered that question before I even asked that question. But my question was, how do you feel about people who trash AB InBev, yet they still consume Bourbon County brand stout?
Well, for a while, I mean, for like 2, so how do I say this? The cataracts were lifted off my eyes as it relates to craft beer when I saw this documentary called Beer Wars. After I saw that, I no longer willingly gave my money to big beer, with the exception of Bourbon County Stout. I was that guy who was a hypocrite for maybe 2 or 3 years, not supporting AB InBev at all, but I still chose to make that one exception every Black Friday or around then and purchase Bourbon County Stout. The last straw for me was when they had that infection issue in 2015. The reason why that was the last straw is because usually, if you join the AB InBev family, now all of a sudden overnight you have access to the top of the line brewing techniques and equipment and tested quality control, all that stuff, and you still put out a massive batch of infected beer. And then you try to make it right after this, that, and the other. It was the classic Charlie Foxtrot, all right. And so that for me, that was the straw that brought the camel's back. I was like, if these people can have all the money in the world that they have, and they can still knowingly put out some crap, then I can't. I refuse to support them. I won't support that. And then fast forward to 2017, they go by Wicked Weed. Wicked Weed still wants to put out their Sour Fest or whatever that's coming out. That will actually been pushed back and it's going to be re-imaged or reimagined or something like that. And they keep using the tagline, "It's for a local charity." Well, your parent company has more money than God, and you still relying on craft. You want to rely on craft breweries to come to your festival so you can make a donation to this local charity. Why can't you just ask your parent company to shave a little bit off the bottom line? They thought you were good enough to buy that. Shouldn't they think that you're good enough to support local charities that you're passionate about? Shouldn't they have an interest in being involved in your community as opposed to just owning your beer? Just seems to me that if they want to buy you, then they should also assume your interest. If you're good enough to buy, you're good enough to get in line with. And yeah, it's just I don't know. It's a lot. And people were disappointed with Wicked Weed, and understandably so, because Wicked Weed had a cult following. There were some of the premier sour brewers on the East Coast making some dope IPAs in Asheville, North Carolina, which is arguably well, in my opinion, the second best beer city on the East Coast, behind Richmond, Virginia. And now,
say a little shout out there.
Shameless plug to the homies. You know what I mean? But yeah. They sold out, and that hurt a lot of people, I think.
Cool. Well, before we wrap up here and we move on, I just have one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's your favorite brewery? Favorite?
Charlie, that's a hard question, man.
Okay. Well, give me one of those breweries where if you could walk into a little pub, what would you want on tap? If there was 2 to 3 beers you want on tap, give me 2 to 3 beers you want on tap. It doesn't matter. Or just give me.
How about I give you a favorite national brewer, and then
that's perfect.
And then I give you 5 small brewers. Go
ahead.
Favorite national brewer is probably Avery.
Okay.
Out of Boulder, Colorado. I think they do some amazing things with their beers, stouts, IPAs, sours. They do it all. Small breweries. The homies at Aslan, obviously, I'm rocking their hat. The homies at Aslan, they're brewing some great stuff. The Veil down in Richmond, they brew some great beer.
Or as I was calling them when Freddie sent me some stuff about a year ago, come August, I was calling them the Veal. I don't know if you've seen that video I made when he sent me a box and I did an unboxing. But in my head, I knew what it was. But when it came up and I pulled the beer out of the box, I was like, the Veal? And then I looked at it, I was just like, okay,
the lamb meat,
not what it is.
The lamb meat. Aslan, Vale, Answer is making some really good stuff, and then what I think is the best brewery in Richmond, Triple Crossing, is making some really good beer, and then my 5th one is a sleeper. The super. I don't even want to say it on air because now people are going to be trying to get their stuff. But the good thing is they don't can, they don't bottle. You got to go to the brewery and get a growler. They only fill certain types of growlers, and I hope they keep it that way.
Me too. If we speaking about the same people, me too.
We're not. Oh,
okay.
Man.
Okay.
I was keeping it East Coast. Top six.
He said top 6.
Great Notion is definitely in there because not only do they make great beer, but they're just really, really dope
people, man.
Outstanding people. And then that one sleeper down in Charleston, South Carolina, there's a brewery called Charlestown. Their head brewer used to work at Trillium. And he went down south to South Cackalack, and he's opening up this. He opened up this brewery in West Ashley, and they are brewing some fire, and that's a fact. Jack, take it to the bank, but don't tell nobody.
Okay, I won't tell anybody. So check this out. Now we just speaking hypothetically. All right.
Mm-hmm.
If Aslan, if they decided to sell a small percentage or even sell the brand completely, would you kick them to the curb?
I'd be done with them, and they know that. That's the thing. They're the homies. They know what's up.
Yeah,
I'd be 100% done with Aslan if they did that. That's the proverbial line in the sand for me.
Okay. Before we let you go, I have one quick question. All right. Now, what do you think is craft beer biggest threat? Is that going to be wine, whiskey, weed, or all three? Now, I live in a state that has legalized marijuana, but there's still 26 states in the District of Columbia that also have legalized marijuana to some extent. California, Massachusetts, Maine, Nevada, all passed ballots measures last November to allow recreational use. Now, I think I shared the article with you, and I think it's a good read. It's a good write-up. However, I totally don't agree with the research behind it, because they did some of the research in the state I live in, and some of the facts they use are not all the way true. They're not all the way false, but not all the way true. But I know you drink craft beer. I would assume you possibly drink whiskey, since craft brewers are aging beers in bourbon barrels. I could be wrong about that. As for wine and weed, I'm not sure. So in your opinion, of the three W's, which is the biggest threat to craft beer?
So you live in a state where not only, I mean, you guys have great wineries as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have wine and
beautiful Pinot Noir up here, and that's my favorite wine choice. If I can get a Pinot Noir, I'll drink it. Anything else, so depending on the weather, or if I'm out wine tasting, whatever. You normally try everything, but Pinot Noir is my favorite wine.
You have wine, you have weed, and you also have hazelnuts, which a lot of people don't know. Oregon produces great hazelnuts, but nonetheless, I honestly, at first, I initially thought, I was like, nah, there's no way weed's a threat to beer. But then I was like, well, maybe weed is a threat to beer, because, I mean, I'm not going to say that I've smoked weed, but from people that I know who smoke weed, they don't have a hangover the next day. They get high, and then they, I'm saying, it's done, it's clean the next day, they're good, unless you get like from what I hear, a good indica, and you pass out, sink into the couch, you go into a sunken place, and it has lingering effects. But I feel like weed could be a threat. I don't think wine and whiskey would be a threat, because wine and whiskey have been around forever. Weed could be a threat, but at the same time, it's a different product from beer. Beer is social. Me and my man Kale were upstairs kicking it for 2.5 hours or so, and we drank several different beers over the course of time. Whereas with weed, typically, from what I hear, you smoke.
I apologize if I'm putting you on the spot.
No, you're not putting me on the spot. I'm just saying.
I think, and my mom.
This is hearsay, Charlie. This is hearsay. But from what I hear, you smoke, you get high, and then you kind of chill. There's a social element to it where you can get high with some folks, but with beer, you drink and you talk about the beer, you experience the beer, how the nuances of the beer change as the temperature changes. But with weed, like, nobody's analyzing their weed like that. From what I hear, nobody's people don't analyze their weed like that. They smoke, they get high, and boom, you got some people who can keep smoking, but not everybody can do that. So it's not going to be a real social thing going on with weed. Whereas with beer, I would appreciate it if I not get drunk. Real talk. I don't drink beer to get drunk. I drink beer because there's a social aspect to it, and I drink beer because I appreciate the craft, and I drink beer because I have an appreciation for the liquid itself. So that's not so much the case with weed, from what I hear.
Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, once again, please be sure to check out my man Randy's IG and Twitter. Randy, do you want to drop that for them again?
I'm on Twitter at R Gardner Jr. I'm on Instagram as R Grizzle2, Grizzle, R Grizzle2. And also, be sure to check us out tomorrow night, Craft Beer Nation. We're interviewing Sean Johnson of Birds Fly South of Greenville, South Carolina, on our show Pints and Quarts. You can check us out on Craft Beer Nation's YouTube channel. Show goes live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Cool. And since you guys will probably catch the video portion of this on the playback. I'm almost positive I can get the audio portion, but their videos are on their Craft Beer Nation YouTube channel. So when you hear this, please go support the guys at the Craft Beer Nation. As I've said before plenty of times, there's 3 individuals that I watch in terms of beer reviews. Randy's one of them. Randy's co-partner Freddie is another, and I support the guy Matt for Massive Beer Reviews. Those are 3 guys that I faithfully watch their videos when they're produced. So once again, Randy, thank you. I appreciate it. Hope to have you on again soon, man. Tell KO I said what's up.
Pleasure is mine. I will.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna pause for a quick station break. Stay locked, stay tuned. This is You Heard It Here First.
A junkie walking through the twilight. I'm on my way home. I left 3 days ago, but no one seems to know how.
Yo, Chuck.
Right. Oh man, what's going on? Look at that. Let me tell you, I made a mistake. I got so excited that I, knocked out the first segment. It was an awesome segment talking with my homeboy Randy. But then I got so excited that I stopped the broadcast and had to create another link. So, ladies and gentlemen, if eventually when you watch this, it's going to look like something happened maybe. But if my editing skills are there, I'll get it to where it won't look like some crazy stuff happened. So I'm sure I'll be able to do that based on how I edit this. But thanks for tuning in once again. This is You Heard It Here First. Normally, that's really flush when I say it, but you're rocking with me, Charlie. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Randy, for joining in on the show. But I got my homeboy Steve here, who is a regular on the show. And I also have Jason joining us here pretty soon. First time on the show for Jason, which is going to be awesome. But it's going to be cool. You know what I'm saying? We're going to discuss some NFL. The thing I enjoy about the NFL is it requires your attention all year around. Basketball from November to June for diehard fans. If you're not a diehard fan, maybe February after the All-Star break until June. And if you just don't really care about the regular season, you probably only care about basketball in April, May, and June because you just want to see playoffs. And the same with baseball. I mean, when baseball season isn't going on, no one really cares about it. But as far as football, their marketing for the game of football, how they stretch things out, how players like to go out and smoke weed, get drunk, get DUIs, and do domestic violence against their ladies. There's always something that's going on in the NFL that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. So with that being said, I got my man Steve on with me. Steve, just jump on and tell everybody how you been doing, man. How's the weather down there in San Diego?
Actually, the weather's been a little rainy, a little chilly, but no real complaints, I guess. I'm doing all right here. Nothing too big. Just watching the Cubs as of late. It was kind of funny, last time we were talking, I wanted to mention I wouldn't mind seeing the Cubs a little more power, a little more home runs, and they're kind of turning it around with the stick there. Could do a little bit better with the bullpen, but nonetheless, Cubs are doing good. Some good hockey on. Did you catch that Pitt Caps game?
Only thing I know about hockey right now is there's a possibility that 2 Canadian teams, actual Canadian teams, may fight for the Stanley Cup. Is that correct? Is there a possibility that if one team beat another team and another team beat another team, then 2 Canadian teams, I guess Edmonton and Ottawa, they're both in the same location. Are those cities and states? Canada is kind of confusing. So is there anything going on into which that the Stanley Cup finals will be exclusively in Canada?
I mean, there's a chance. Yesterday,
Okay.
Ottawa, they beat the Rangers to close that out, and then you got the Oilers with Game 7 going against Anaheim. So
okay,
there is definitely a chance there, although it's kind of hard to look past Pitt. I mean, the Caps were favored big time, and I think Crosby missed some time, and they still were able to close out that series. So it is kind of hard to continue to watch the playoffs when the Blackhawks are out, but I know you're going to ask me questions about it.
Is that the homer in you?
What's that?
Is that the homer in you being upset that the Blackhawks aren't a part of the playoffs and is no longer fun for you?
Yeah, I can't lie about that. You know, it's not longer not fun. It's just not as enjoyable, I guess you can say. I'm still a hockey fan, but it's you know, the game moves so fast. You know, you're not really sure who's who. So when you're watching your team, you're like, oh, okay, so Kane or Taves, Hossa, Oduya. You know who has the puck. You kind of know what they're trying to set up, so it's a little bit easier to watch the games. But still, nonetheless, it's still exciting, and it's the playoffs, so no real complaints.
Awesome, awesome. I mean, outside of that, the only thing that I can tell you I know about hockey is whoever is good during the power play, that's the team to beat. And since I don't know who's good during the power play, then I don't know who's the best at hockey anyways. And I feel the same as you. It's not like I am a diehard hockey fan, but when you're from the city of Detroit, I mean, you have to embrace hockey somewhere, and they don't call it the hockey town for a reason. So I mean, I've been to a total of 2. And the only reason why I say a total of 2 because the third one we went in, it got kind of bored, and then I left. So that was, but that was my first hockey game right there. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was just like, I'm totally not feeling this. I'm gonna just go home. And then my mom was upset that she dropped me off, so I had to take public transportation home. So it's a rough night, you know what I'm saying? But whatever. But my man Jason is on. Jason, how you doing? So we'll give my man Jason some time to get things set up. We're not on a time crunch schedule here. We're all on the West Coast, so it's 7:51. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening in, here in the second segment of the show, I have Steve, as I mentioned, my homeboy Steve, and I have Jason, and we're going to talk some NFL draft, so notable draft picks, and I guess you can say the results of the draft in the eyes of us watching it. And then from there, since my man Jason is on and he is a Chiefs fan, we're going to discuss what the hell is going on with them drafting Patrick Mahomes and how come no one can get used to having Alex Smith as their quarterback. And then before we wrap all the way up, at some point, you have to decide as a sports fan, do I still want to represent for the team I love? Or do I want to just jump on the bandwagon of another team because I can already see my team not doing anything this season and I'm looking forward to the next draft? So it's about that time. Steve and I just go ahead and let it be known that we love the Bears. We enjoy the Bears, but we want to root for somebody else in 2017. So, Jason, I think we got you, Jason. We got to have you because now that I got you, Jason. We got Jason. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and clap. We got Jason.
Thank God.
We got Jason. But as I was saying, Steve and I have decided it is time for us to find a team to root for. Maybe not for long term, but for the now. And sports is all about what have you done for me lately. And the Bears haven't done anything for us lately. So with that being said, I got a hat here filled with 32 pieces of paper. My man Steve has a list with all the teams written down in alphabetical order. And I'm going
thorough.
For he and I. And whatever we pick, that's the team we're going to roll with. So hopefully it's not the Chicago Bears. Well, hopefully it's not the New York Jets. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, here's what I did. So I sent you the list I have in my alphabetical order. So number 1 is it goes by like the mascot name. So it's Bears Chicago. So number 1 is Bears. Okay.
And
the Jets are 17. So if we get 1 or 17, we'll just pick again. But I send you the list so people don't think like, you know, you pick a number, then all of a sudden you just get the Patriots or something like that. So
cool. Well, check it out. I guess I'll give us anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. And I guess you can either sum up the draft or you could totally bash your team. So not having communication with Steve from, you know, a week and a half ago up until now, you know, I hit him up today and I was just like, you know, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I already said, you know, I don't have much to talk about, but I'm just going to rip the Bears. And I'm sitting there, you know what? I'm going to rip the Bears too. So we're going to let Steve go first. Jason, we're going to let you go, and then I'll get the back end. So, Steve, go ahead. 2 to 3 minutes. Wrap up the draft of your team. and or wrap up the draft based on your thought, what you thought was interesting.
Here's what I thought was interesting. It's clearly that the Bears are rebuilding, and to move up one spot, they gave up. Well, they swapped spots for second and third pick to move up to number 2. Then they gave up. I think it was like a late second rounder, and then a third rounder of next year. And there's some strings tied to that where it could be moved up or something like this. But I thought it was so stupid because they overpaid and they were their only bidders for Mike Glennon. So he has a guaranteed contract of $19 million. And let me read you his 2015 stats. Yes, his 2015 stats. Okay, he doesn't have any because he didn't play. He hasn't started a game since 2014. And then on top of that, they invite him to the draft like, hey, you're going to be our future, our franchise. And they spend all that to move up one spot to draft a quarterback. Like, dude, what is going on with that franchise? And then on top of it, everybody knows that the Niners were never going to take that quarterback because they're going to go after Kirk Cousins after this one season with the Redskins because you got Kyle Shanahan that's the head coach of the 49ers. The Bears organization is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
That's it. There's got to be more in there.
I mean, like, it's just so bad because it's like, okay, you let Alshon Jeffrey go, which, again, he was injury prone and all this other stuff. And then it's like Forte would have stayed. Like, if they could have done something as simple, like, I want to go all the way back, and I've said this before, I want to go all the way back to when they had Mark Trestman, they had Josh McCown, when they had a great O-line, they had Martellus Bennett, Alshon Jeffrey. They might have had Brandon Marshall at one moment, I'm not sure, but they had Matt Forte. And then that offense was a top 5 offense. They should have drafted A.J. McCarron, who's being toted around for a first-round draft pick, and they could have got him in the second round. The whole organization, I honestly don't even know if they really even pay attention. Like, they get, like, lucky with, like, Urlacher, because some people are just – they just don't quit. And, like, Urlacher, like, he could have gone to any team and he would have been who he was. Hester could have gone to any team and he would have been who he was. I don't think they, like, make these players. They don't develop any players. I mean, the organization is just absolutely terrible. It's just garbage. Like, they're as good as the Browns. They're terrible.
Well, let me tell you guys something, ladies and gentlemen. I vaguely remember this conversation with Steve and I. It was a text message conversation. And what he just said about the time when Trestman was the coach, the offensive line was decent. The offense itself was top 5. The defense was okay, but they were getting older. But, I mean, the core of that team was there. Just couldn't win games or couldn't close out games. And that was just it. And I agree with my man Steve to a certain extent. You know, maybe Jay Cutler shouldn't have been signed for a long term. And maybe we should have just went with Josh McCown, because I tell you, when he was that game against the Cowboys, he went out there and he lit those boys up in the first half. He played his rear off. And those games where he stepped in place of Jay Cutler, he had the looks of a guy that could manage the system, manage the offense, and put the Bears in a position not to lose a game. Now, granted, Jay Cutler is he's going to put you above average because he can make throws that a lot of top 5, top 10 quarterbacks can't make, but he's also a bonehead. But the thing that Josh McCown did that Alex Smith won't do, or at least it seems like he won't do it, he went out there and he took some risk, and it paid off more times than not. And I like Josh McCown a lot. So Steve has said that from the start to the finish, and I'm sure he's going to take it to his grave. He believes in that. Now, the whole A.J. McCarron thing, that's where I just totally get away from that, because that boy is boo-boo.
Well, you got to look at it, though. You got to look at, like, the offense that Mark Trestman was running, though. Like, it fit Josh McCown perfectly, because Josh McCown isn't like some, super athlete. He's not like a Cam Newton, and he doesn't have, the arm of a Jay Cutler. He basically hears the play, read the defense. He's a smart guy. Like, even like, what's his name? True. Fitzpatrick would have fit well in there because he's a smart guy and he reads the defense. You don't need to call a lot of audibles, because the way that they run their offense, they spread the defense out. There's a lot of pockets. It's very simple to run that offense. I say this as, bystander here, but for quarterback standards for professionals. And then also too, what you got to look at is like, yes, Josh McCown's a traveling man, but you got to look beyond that. Like look at like Matt Moore with the Dolphins. They spend so much money to keep Matt Moore, not only because he knows the offense, he's slightly less gifted than someone like Ryan Tannehill, but that dude is a coach in pads. That's what Josh McCown is. That's why Lovie Smith wanted him in the Buccaneers, so he can like coach up Winston a little bit. You know, that's why the Browns wanted him, because you can try to coach up RG3 when they took him, and then they had that other Hessler or something like that, some other backup in the Browns, and that's why the Jets are taking him. The Jets are taking him because they got that like Hackenberg, and then my pick, Bryce Petty. And like watch what he does with those guys. Watch if he can stay healthy, he can really be an asset to your team. And I think that the Bears missed out because then they spent $19 million a season on Jay Cutler when they could have put that towards the defense, and they would be going after division titles.
Well, I have to say one thing before we let Jason take the floor. You said Ryan Fitzpatrick is a smart dude. Hell yeah, he's a smart dude, because I think he went to Harvard and he held out long enough to get paid big bucks to go out there, think it up. So by all means, he is the smartest guy I know, because he is a swindler and he swindled the Jets out of a ton of money, and they knew he wasn't worth it, but they were desperate, and he was a dud firecracker on the 4th of July. Jason, the floor is yours.
Oh, so much to talk about. Steve's very knowledgeable. I like that he gets the still frame picture. Next time I might want to go with that, except I'll have like a picture of like the Brad Pitt with the 6-pack abs and the cigarette in the mouth because I have a face for radio. But, you know, it's interesting when you talk about Chicago and Fitzpatrick. I'd have to agree with Charlie. There's a reason they called him Fitz-tragic, because he was just so inconsistent. You know, he got all that money. I think he was smart for holding out, but he wasn't going to take your team any further. I really think where the Bears started declining was when they got rid of Lovie Smith. I mean, he was a good coach. There was no reason to get rid of him. They should have stuck with the plan, you know, good. And so now they've gotten Trestman, this guy from Canada, was, you know, with these crazy offenses. And I think the big problem is Cutler, who has a cannon, very gifted. I just don't know if he loved football. You know, he was an amazing athlete. He could do a lot of things for you. He really wasn't a leader. And I think when you're paying that person that kind of money and he's a quarterback, he's the face of your organization, and you're having infighting with, you know, Brian Urlacher had a lot to say about him after he left Chicago. You know, I think that was a big problem. They stuck with him too long. However, going back to their second pick, ridiculous. Nobody wanted that quarterback. San Francisco didn't want it, and they went up and got him. Like Steve said before, an embarrassment to have him at the drafting party. And, you know, it sounded like the head coach didn't even know they were going to pick Trubinsky. So, I mean, again,
rumor on the street, that's what's going around, that John Fox had no idea that was going to happen.
And that's a sign of an organization that's in disarray, because the best organizations, like we always go to the Patriots, but also the Steelers, the Giants, they're all in tune with what everyone's doing step by step. They're all on the same page. And when you're having things like that happen, like Parcells says, you know, if I'm the cook, I need to be able to pick the ingredients. It's the same kind of thing that happened right here with John Fox. But we'll see. Trubinsky might have been a good pick. We'll never, you know, we won't know until the season starts. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I do think he will get in maybe the middle of the season. It depends on the record, but, you know, unnecessary to go up to get him. So moving on to the Chiefs anyway. Chiefs did something interesting this year. They picked a quarterback, first round. First time they've done this in like 35 years. We haven't had a good quarterback we've drafted. We've had a bunch of retreads from San Francisco. Steve Bono, Eric Gerbach, Joe Montana on one leg, Alex Smith right now. And so, you know, I kind of like the pick. It goes away from what the Chiefs' philosophy has been, more defensive minded. They did give up a lot to get him, a first and a third. But I think this guy is worth the risk because you've got to do something to change the fortunes of your franchise. We keep going out early in the playoffs, if we even make it. I know you guys are complaining about Chicago, but let me tell you something. The Chiefs haven't been or won a Super Bowl since Super Bowl III. You guys won the Super Bowl in '86. You guys were in the Super Bowl in that rain game against Indianapolis. I
Rex
wish
Grossman.
Rex Grossman, hey, he took you there, and I know it's easy to feel sorry for Chicago fans. I mean, with the Bulls winning 6 championships, the Blackhawks winning 3 championships. I mean, you guys have nothing to complain about in Chicago, okay? The Bears, they'll find their way again. But the Chiefs, I mean, my goodness, we have won one playoff game in something like 26 years. We won a playoff game against the Texans a couple years ago. Before that, we haven't won a playoff game since, guess who was our quarterback? Joe Montana.
Jeez.
It's sad.
That's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Right. So Chicago people, I know I'm sorry, didn't your Cubs win the World Series last year? But anyway, I can't complain. My Royals won a couple
Just
years
slide
ago.
that one right under the carpet. It's like
Well, it was pretty awesome.
Yo, he slid that in his back pocket like Rizzo did that ball going to first base.
Right?
He just tucked it right in.
But I do like the direction they're going. They're changing philosophy. They took some swings. We'll see if they hit or if they missed. I'm looking forward to the season, but I don't give up on my Chiefs because no matter what, they're my Chiefs.
You know what? I think Chuck had me on the show to gang up on you about the Chiefs pick here, but actually, I'm kind of in favor of the pick, and it's not a slam on Alex Smith by any means. I thought the 49ers were super foolish for letting him go in the first place because he's actually, if you look up his stats and whatnot, he's probably the most consistent quarterback in the league, top 5 consistency wise. You know what you're going to get out of him. He doesn't spread the ball deep, but he also doesn't turn the ball over. He takes what the defense gives him, and he can still scramble. But this is why I agree with the draft pick. If you look back at things of what the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, it's better to be a year early than a year late. So when you look at Alex Smith here, he's 33 years old. He has 2 years left on his contract. He's getting paid decent money. It's probably underpaid, when you look at players like Stafford and whatnot. But or Bradford. I mean, not Stafford, Bradford. But
Bradford, yeah.
So when you look at it, though, they made that pick because there's 2 years left on Alex Smith's contract. So when he's done, he's going to be 35 years old, and therefore, if he still wants to play, he's still going to want to perform. And a player like Alex Smith is like a true football player, where he's going to coach up the guy that's coming behind him because he understands where he's at in his career, and he understands where he's at. Like, this rookie's not going to take his starting job by any means. He's there to either
I don't know. He might have flashbacks to Kaepernick because remember, that's how he lost his job. He got hurt. Kaepernick came in, and he never saw the starting role again.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. You got to go with the hot hand. I mean, it's the same thing that kind of happened with Romo and Prescott. So you got to roll with the hot hand. And back in with 49ers, Harbaugh was a huge fan of Kaepernick. He traded up to get him. But with Alex Smith, I think he's coming off a couple of concussions from last season. He is getting a little bit older. They got somewhat of a young defense there. They got a young running back core. They got a decent receiving core and tight end with Kelsey. So I liked it because if you look who's behind the Chiefs in the draft, it was the Saints, Texans, and Cardinals. So if they didn't make that pick at number 10, the Saints, Texans, or Cardinals, I think if any,
they had to go up and get him because he wouldn't have fell to them.
He wouldn't have fallen. He wouldn't have fallen to them in the second round, and they would try to have to trade back in, and they would also have to do the gamble if the Saints, Texans, or Cardinals. Because I mean, the Cardinals just signed what's his name, Blaine Gabbert, with Stanton behind Palmer. So I think they were definitely going to try to get him or Watson, but I think the Texans were sold on Watson. So I kind of agree.
Plus, this has got to be Palmer's last year, right? I mean, there's no way he plays after this.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals just wanted a veteran quarterbacks to back up as the 2 and 3. There's no way that they're thinking either one of those guys is the franchise. So I think they're kind of hoping that I don't know who else the Cardinals had drafted. I would have to definitely look that up, but yeah, the franchise quarterback is not on their team as of right now. I think they're going to try to see what goes on with camp, see if anybody's cut. But I mean, like when you look at it, you got this rookie quarterback drafted number 10 overall. Is going to spend 2 years behind Alex Smith. With the top 10, if they pay him all his money before the third season ends, they have first rights to him to the 5th year. So you could actually probably, if Smith still has it in him, you could sign him to another 2-year contract, and you possibly have this rookie get 3 to 4 seasons behind Smith, really learn that offense before he takes it over as the franchise. I think it was a pretty good pick.
I just don't think as a first-round pick these days you get 2 or 3 seasons. You might get this one. It's not like it used to be where the quarterback would sit for a year or two, learn the offense, kind of be an underling. Not with first-round picks anymore. You're expected to start either
you in there
exactly like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is going to start this year. There's no way he's going to be. Now you're right, Mahomes is in a better situation, but I don't think Smith will be there next year. The following year, maybe this year, but not next year because
I mean they're not going to cut him. They owe him a lot of money.
They might trade him. You know what happens? These teams get desperate. Their quarterback goes out. You saw what happened with Minnesota's quarterback last year, and they gave away so much for Bradford, who's an ace bandage. He's always hurt. He's always hurt. Why would you do that? And they gave away. So, maybe the Chiefs have a plan. Oh, we got this guy. He's fairly healthy. He's a good experienced quarterback. Maybe we'll get a first or second for him.
But I mean, the other thing too is this thing. I bring up the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers because I'd have to look this up again, but I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers sat 3 years, right?
Right. He's the exception
three
to
years.
the rule.
That's right. 3 years.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I think that's where teams are making the mistake. And he was a first round draft pick, 22nd overall, and I think that's where teams are making the mistake to where they draft these college kids and they expect them to be NFL ready that season or next season, and it's every situation is going to dictate. When you're RG3 or Andrew Luck being drafted 1 and 2 to 2 crappy teams, then yeah, we're going to stuff you in there and you're going to take your lumps, and that's how you're going to learn. When you're Aaron Rodgers and you're on the Packers on a team that's pretty damn decent, you're behind one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play, then you're going to sit there and watch. And now when you look at something like what's Mahomes, right? Am I pronouncing that correct?
Mahomes,
We're looking at Mahomes, and not to mention too, what we haven't even mentioned is Andy Reid. I mean, that dude is a coach of all coaches. He
can coach quarterbacks. He's a good he's quarterback friendly coach.
Well, exactly. I mean, look what he did. He's the one that when the whole damn city of Philly wanted Ricky Williams, he said no, let's do McNabb, and he had a ton of success with McNabb. And to be quite honest with you, can you even name another Eagles players besides I think Westbrook and then Terrell Owens came?
Oh, that's a good question. No, I can't.
Exactly. I mean, he was.
Outside of Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson,
Deshaun
McCoy. I can name all of them.
But that's a different
I feel
era.
you coming from. I feel you coming from, Steve.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I'm talking. The earlier years with them. So I think I really think that Alex Smith will be there for at least the remainder of his contract. They're going to see how Mahomes develops. And then I think at the absolute earliest, you'll see Mahomes play his 3rd season, because what they'll do here is they'll have him play his 3rd season. They'll see how it goes. And then his 4th season, they really don't need to extend him until his 5th year if they pay him all of his money by the end of the 3rd season, I believe. If they pay him all his money by the 3rd season, they get first rights to him his 5th year. So actually, I mean, they could get him for 5 seasons before they even extend him. So I don't think the Chiefs are in any hurry.
This is all considering, and hopefully that he's good. It was a good pick because With him, it seems feast or famine. He could be something special or he could be a flameout. These drafts, you just never know what you're getting until they're on the field. I mean, it's just shooting, like you're just hoping that, oh my gosh, did I make a huge mistake? But the thing is, you can't do anything. You've got to take swings. And I'm so happy that the Chiefs finally drafted a first-round quarterback. Last time we had a first-round pick, it was first overall pick. It was the year before Andrew Luck came out. So if we just would have got it that next year, we would be awesome. We would be talking about the Super Bowls and how often we beat Seattle. But instead, we're here today talking about Mahomes 3 years from now. So.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's a work in progress. Like realistically, it's like they talk about like grading the drafts. What they should be doing is, in 2017, you should be looking at the team's 2013 draft and then put a grade on it. I mean, because honestly, it's just like it's all on paper. The name's on paper. It doesn't really mean anything. College is completely different from the NFL. So, I mean, you're right. You really don't know until they get on the field and play. But like I said, I think it was a smart pick, one of the smarter, well thought out top draft picks, I think, by an organization.
I was surprised. I was happy they did it. So,
I mean, if we can backtrack just a little bit to
Sure.
the beloved Bears here, I was absolutely shocked that they didn't try to I can't name any of their receivers. I think they actually signed Marcus Bryant, right?
And they should have in the first round. I'm being honest now. In the first round, for me, since you're talking about receivers, I think the guy they should have went after is the kid Corey Davis out of Western Michigan.
From Western Michigan.
And the only reason why I say that because I have a lot of love for Western Michigan, and some people know why I have a lot of love for Western Michigan, but that story is for another day. But a lot of my friends from the Detroit, Flint, Saginaw area, they all went to Western Michigan, but a lot of people they met is from the Chicago area, and you would think that would draw a lot of attention to that school.
Well, he's from like a city right by Chicago.
Yes,
like
and that was going to be my next point. So
my bad.
No, you're good. But that was going to be my next point. He's like actually from the area. So I thought, I mean, if you look at the Bears pick, four of the five selections was on the offense side of the ball. So why not spend a pick on a player that can make a huge impact as a rookie, as a wide receiver? But you can go ahead and take the floor, Steve. It's you.
Well, no, because I mean, like that's a good point. It was a toss up between and they would have had first rights to either one of these guys of either Corey Davis or Mike Williams of Clemson. But that Mike Williams guy was coming off a pretty serious injury, like in the middle of his college career. I was actually kind of shocked that the Chargers went after him after their injury prone receivers that they had with Keenan Allen. And then I think there was one other one I can't really remember who they had, but anyways, I was definitely shocked.
I guess you can say Vincent Jackson when he was with the Chargers over a decade ago, when we were both there living in the city together, he was great, but he also had some injury issues as well. And when he got to the Bucks, he was great, but after 2 to 3 years into that contract, he started to get bit by the injury bug, and he couldn't be what the quarterback or what Lovie Smith or whoever the coach was before Lovie Smith needed him to be, and the other kid, Mike Evans. You know what I'm saying? That's a great wide receiver duo there, Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson, and Vincent Jackson couldn't stay healthy.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, too. It's just like because they drafted 2 seasons ago or something, and the guys barely played the Bears. They drafted that receiver White out of West Virginia.
Oh, my gosh. Jeez, so, I mean, man. He passed gas, and he's injured. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. He was like a 7th overall pick or something like this. I don't even recall if he's ever even played. And, that's what I just do not understand, where it's like, you have Mike Glennon, which is pretty – I mean, I guess he's, considered a veteran because he's been in the league for 3 years. So I guess that's 3-something years. So I guess that's considered a veteran. But it's like, why wouldn't you want to have, a young rookie receiver coming in and try to grow these guys together? That's what I just don't understand. Start building that connection from the beginning. And then – because it's, I mean, I don't know. The whole thing just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, they spent all that money on Glennon. What they probably should have done instead of taking Trubisky and moving up to second was probably get more picks, get Glennon some weapons there. but now they're drafting the quarterback, and it's just I don't even know what they're doing over there in Chicago. But
What the Bears should have done with their pick. So if they traded up, since they traded up to pick second, they should have just took Solomon Thomas. That's it. They should have just went defense and go ahead and start creating the foundation of what we know Chicago football to be: defense. That's it.
Yeah, and again, like Jason said before about how Lovie Smith was there, back to that point of they're all about defense. And in that one, and this is what, Jason, in case you're wondering what put the bad taste in my mouth, that I'm no longer a Bears fan. I think the organization
I'm no longer a Bears fan.
Yeah, for no longer a Bears fan, you seem to know a lot about the Bears.
But what have I said positive? I know a lot of trash to talk out of them. That's what I do know.
But Steven, I'm super critical of the Chiefs, super critical to the point of my family and friends say, I don't even know if you're a Chiefs fan anymore. And the reason I'm critical, probably the same reason you are, is because you care so much. And you get people around you that go, oh, maybe next year, oh, they're getting better. And you just get so frustrated, especially when, like you said, the Bears, just wondering what they're doing. And so I think that being hypercritical about your team means you're actually a really good fan.
I guess you can look at it that way, but I hope they never win a Super Bowl until I say so, because
with your blessing, Steven, of course.
We've already established that they're a defensive team, and in one season they let go of Lovie Smith, who's a defensive-minded coach who is phenomenal, and he's really good when it comes to special teams. And then on top of that, they let go of Brian Urlacher, and they give him an ultimatum. They didn't even let Lovie Smith go. Think about this. Think about what the Bears could be today. If they let Lovie Smith go, they got Trestman, the quarterback guru. They have the McCown. They draft A.J. McCarron. They have the O-line. They have Alshon Jeffrey. They have Martellus Bennett. Matt Forte stays for the discount. Urlacher's still on the other side. They got Briggs over there. And then they drafted. Then they have an extra $19 million. They still have Tillman, right? Then they have an extra $19 million to spend on the defense. And you can go out there and you can overpay for an Ndamukong Suh if you want, or you can go overpay for the Revis if you want. Or what I said, they should have made that move and tried to get that safety Goldston that went to the Buccaneers from the Niners. It was right after that, like the Super Bowl. He wanted more money. Think about the Bears defense with an extra $19 million, Urlacher coaching up that entire defense and coaching up the future of the defensive Bears. Draft picks that, bring them up. I'm telling you, man. I just won us like 3 Super Bowls, but they don't listen to me.
Great job.
And the crazy thing is the Bears were making, at least in my opinion, they were making moves like every team in the NFC North was getting younger. Those teams were relatively the same age. So they're like making all these moves or getting rid of like foundation players to get younger when they didn't necessarily need to. They maybe needed to be younger outside of the division. But in ordinary to get to the playoffs, the number one thing you have to do is what? You have to win your division. That's it. That's all you have to do. You have to win your division and win enough games outside of your division to be there. But as long as you win your division, you're guaranteed to get into the playoffs. And to me, they just started to making these moves looking like they're going into a direction to get younger, either on the defense side of the ball, I would say on the defense side of the ball versus the offense side of the ball. And it was truly shown when they didn't get, or they gave Urlacher an ultimatum, and he was like, you know what, I'm not going to take that. I come out better retiring. So
right.
I never got your guys' opinion on your coach, John Fox. Do you think he's, the person for that job?
Well, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and say no, because and if you go back, Jason, you get some time, it's going to be the C&J Sports and Beer podcast with me and my homeboy Jarrett, and it's going to be, I can't tell you which week, but it's one of the weeks where we talk about the NFC North as a whole. I think it was the NFC North and the AFC North. I think that was Jarrett and I, and I think that AFC was that you and me, Steve? Was that you and I?
I think we chatted that up.
Okay, so I think Steve and I chatted that up, and one thing I said, just basing off of just history and following numbers, this past season was the season where John Fox would normally explode and improve his record as a head coach of a team, and he didn't do it. So I'm not necessarily going to say he's not the coach of the job, because I'm not a football coach. I mean, I don't know anything about X's and O's as a football coach, and I may know enough about basketball, so I can sit and say I just don't think Dwayne Casey is the coach for the Toronto Raptors, because I don't think he's the fucking coach for the Toronto Raptors, but he's the coach of the Toronto Raptors. And I think if I were the coach of the Toronto Raptors, I would be a winning coach, and I would find a way to beat LeBron James. I would find a way to beat LeBron James. But
good luck. Nobody can find a way to beat LeBron James.
But as far as John Fox, it's just starting to. He just doesn't seem like he's the coach for the Chicago Bears. It just doesn't seem like it. To me.
They need to get a younger coach. John Fox is a retread. I mean, he's been so many places. He's had
Carolina, Broncos.
heart attack, yeah, and it's just like, you guys need, if you're going to do this rebuilding, you probably need to rebuild with a young offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator or something like that. But.
Well, realistically, let's look at it too. It's just like it seems like he went to, when he was with Carolina, wasn't that when they were like an expansion team or something?
No, that was Kaufman, I think. Yeah, Kaufman, who was the Giants coach.
Yeah, and he was an expansion coach with the Jaguars, right?
No, that was it Kaufman, Jaguars?
Yeah, Kaufman was the Jaguars, but the Panthers, they haven't been around that long.
Yeah, but Fox wasn't there from the beginning. No, I'm trying to think who was there. I don't remember.
I mean, the other thing too is that what the Bears should have looked more into is like, yeah, he was a winning coach. You know, he went to the Super Bowl with the Panthers, and they end up winning one with the Broncos. But it's like he went to the Broncos that was like literally already established. You know what I mean? Wait,
no, they got blasted in the Super Bowl.
They did, but they made it to the Super Bowl.
They made it. Well, you know what? If I'm a Broncos fan, I don't want to talk about that Super Bowl at all, because they got blasted. And when I say blasted, it's just like your younger cousin who say, "Hey, let's fight." And out of nowhere, you be like, okay, and you just blast them in the chest, and then the fight is over with. That's just like the wrestling match is done. That's what the Seattle Seahawks did. Oh my God, they got blasted.
Started with a safety. No, my mistake. That's right. They got blasted the first one. Then when he left, they ended up winning. But I'm saying he went to the Broncos when Peyton Manning, he showed with, he got Peyton Manning. He already had the receiving core. So, I mean, I think where the frustration's coming in is that it doesn't appear that he has much say in Chicago right now. And we'll find out who made the mistake of either Pace not listening to Fox or Fox disagreeing with Pace. But I'll tell you right now, for that GM to go literally outbid himself, they were the only runner for Mike Glennon to outbid themselves to get Glennon out of like sheer desperation, and then to make that trade with the Niners to move up one spot to get another quarterback when you have so many holes on that team. I got to be honest with you. I don't think it's not that John Fox is not the guy for the team. I really don't think Pace is the guy for the team.
Are the Bears the Knicks of the NFL?
God damn, Jason. Come on, man. We've only been friends now for about almost a year.
It's just a question that has to be asked.
You know what? I'm not going to answer that question.
They got a lot of similarities.
The truth hurts.
All right, guys, before we wrap up, as I mentioned in the pre-introduction, is it time for a new team? Steve and I we've decided in 2017 that it's time to change it up a bit. Not necessarily jumping on the bandwagon, but jumping on the bandwagon. So in this hat, I have this hat here. Marlena did the pleasure of helping me write down 32 different sheets. As you can see, it's a Chicago Bears hat that's upside down because they haven't been able to do anything right for me to wear this cap and represent the Bears. So like I said, in this hat, I will pull a number out for both Steve and I. Whatever number I pull out, we will designate our allegiance to that team in 2017.
Are you first or my first?
It doesn't matter. I mean, this is I feel we only get one pick, but as a kicker, if Jason feels we deserve a second pick, he will grant it.
You'll get
Okay,
the bro.
fair enough.
So that's if Jason feel like it. So you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Steve, you don't necessarily have to hate yourself or hate me for picking a number. You can just be like, Jason, I hate you for not saying I deserve a second pick.
I just
That's
hope
it.
I just hope I get someone in the AFC South, so it's going to be competitive all season.
So like I said, I mean, I can go first, you can go first. It doesn't.
Your
it doesn't.
show, man. You call it. Your show,
Okay,
you
here
call
it is. Okay, so check it out. I guess I'll go first. All right, so you guys can see me shaking it up, and I'm going in
All
right
let me know
now,
what you get.
and I'm grabbing
Number?
number right here, and it's fucking number 29. I don't know if you
29.
guys can see this.
Oh man, that's solid. You got the Houston Texans.
I guess.
Oh,
Damn it.
no.
Dude,
So-
It's going to be an interesting year for Houston.
So I got number 29. You know what? And I think we were talking. Now, I should pick again because I think Steve and I were discussing. And for me, I wanted the Bears to select Deshaun Watson. And they didn't. But knowing I'm not a Texans fan at all. I hate the Texans because I'm not a big JJ Watt fan. I hate JJ Watt. Number one. I hate JJ Watt.
Why is that? May I
yeah,
ask?
but you love him now. He's your man.
Well, no, I love his brother more than I love him because his brother played. Well, they both played in the Big Ten. But I'm not a big JJ Watt fan. That's the thing. I can't say I
Pittsburgh
hate
drafted
JJ
his
Watt.
brother, right?
Yeah, they. I think they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
So why do you hate Watt? We can't get
the
past.
only
I
reason
can't
why I
get
hate
past this.
JJ Watt because he decided to just bust up and leave Central Michigan to head into the Big Ten. That's it. And I like Central Michigan. He played at Central Michigan, and he just said, "You know what? I'm going to leave this small school to go play." Like I didn't like
So
that.
let me get this straight. So on a, let's say, a normal person's level, someone left wants to be a lawyer. You're mad because instead of going to some kind of school like Valparaiso, they got a scholarship to go to Harvard, but they should stay at Valparaiso.
Yo, they should have been smart enough to get the scholarship at first. God damn it! I'm from Michigan.
But his hard work got him that
Everything
scholarship in the Big Ten.
No,
I
not
feel
really,
like-
because he had a full ride scholarship at Central, and he took the partial scholarship at, where was he at? I think it was Wisconsin, and the kid was delivering pizzas and accepting the partial scholarship. The thing is, he didn't want to play into the mix at Central Michigan. He didn't,
Because there's
but
more. There's
Antonio
more.
Brown, look, Antonio Brown stayed at Central Michigan, and what is Antonio Brown considered? By far, probably 1, 2, or the
He's
third
okay.
best receiver in the
He's okay.
NFL.
Speaking of mix,
mm.
I think possibly the Bengals got a steal of the draft by getting Joe Mixon in the second round.
Yes,
Say that.
most
If
definitely.
they're willing to take the heat.
Well, you got like here's
Well, I
the
mean,
thing.
they should be willing to take the heat. I mean, they're like the best regular season football team, and then they get in the playoffs and they like jump in the water without their life preserver on and drown. So
I don't know any team like that. Oh wait, my team.
you had something you want to say, Steve?
I was just gonna say, you know what? I hate to say it, but the fact of the matter is this: if you can produce on the field, you will play in the NFL.
That's true.
So, the thing is this: I'm telling you, the Cowboys got it right, and they did it with DeMarco Murray. They're gonna run that Elliott kid into the ground. They may sign him for like a 3-year extension after that. That guy has about 7 years max the way he runs, but I bet you they don't even sign him. He does 5 years, makes about $22 million, and then after that, someone's gonna spend too much money for him for years 6, 7, and 8. Who do I get here?
All right, here it is. I'm going in right now. All right, I picked number 22.
Oh, okay. Washington Redskins. I can get behind that.
You
That's
can
a
get
good.
behind that.
Yeah, we got my boy Terrell Pryor out there, Kirk Cousins, Reed. What are you kidding me? Oh,
Cousins
man,
in a contract year if he doesn't get the franchise tag again. No.
No, I think this is the last year they can tag him.
This
Oh
is.
yeah.
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 Dude, can you believe that? Can you imagine that? He's getting tagged for $24.5 million, I think.
And some
What
people
a
don't
life.
make that in a career.
And I'm pretty sure he doesn't even have to play.
He's
That's
good.
guaranteed.
He's good.
That's why I'm telling you, the Niners are going to go after him. That's probably why they were loading up on some drafts going back there so they could save cap room.
Are you satisfied? Should we just do a second round just because?
Just because.
Yeah, but you got to stick with Houston because you hate J.J. Watt.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
I hate J.J. Watt, and I also hate Bill O'Brien because he coached at Penn State.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So this would have been my second pick here. Number 25.
25. That would have been Ravens.
Wow, man. Yeah, Joe
See,
Flacco.
I hate the Ravens. I hate the Ravens.
All right, and here's yours, Steve. Let's go. Number 30. Ooh.
30. Titans. Dude, we're all over there. That would have been like
That's a good team to root for.
Yeah, I'd be pumped about the Titans. But I'm going to stick with the Washington Redskins here because that's a good division. We have a chance to play each other in the Super Bowl too, so that's exciting.
Awesome. Well, guys, do you have any saved rounds? Anything you want to shoot out?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that the Panthers' first head coach was Dom Capers.
Oh, he's defense guy, isn't he?
I think he's with the Packers now.
Okay,
I think he's coordinator with the Packers.
Okay, that name sounds familiar. Probably because every time we get whooped up on by the Packers, they always want to rip and rave about his defense. And most of the time, it's Aaron Rodgers.
He's a surgeon, man. That Aaron Rodgers is so athletic. He's incredible. And they actually compared our pick, the Pat Mahomes, with Aaron Rodgers. So I'm just hopeful.
So he'll sit on the bench for 3 years and be a stud.
I have no problem with that. If the media doesn't pressure the Chiefs shouldn't cave to the pressure. If that's the way you want to develop him, I'm all for it.
The other thing I'll say too is this: that all the teams in the NFL need to read the rule book because nobody plays the game better than the Patriots. I cannot believe LeGarrette Blount is still in free agency. Dollars by the Patriots, but the Patriots found like this rule where they can extend his free agency by paying him 110% of what he would make in his salary. So instead of $1 million, they pay him $1.1 million, and they still give him the right to the team. And he has to go back to the Patriots for 1.1. If he doesn't, and he signs somewhere else, they get like some like contingent draft pick or something like this. It's something that only the Patriots would look up. But I'm just still in awe that he is still, even though he's 30, the guy is an animal, and he could be good for somewhere there that's just missing a running back to get him to the next level here. Like if, I don't know, maybe the Buccaneers, who knows, bring him back there, who knows what's going on with Doug Martin. But I'm just a little shocked. But I thought that was a pretty cool rule that they found.
So I mean, I guess now that explains how well my man, what's his name, the tight end there, who recently passed away in his prison cell. Aaron Hernandez. It explains how well he was versed at reading through the fine lines of the judicial system up in Massachusetts because he did a crime and his family are going to be paid dividends here if this appeal doesn't go through and the law works in his favor. So one shyster to another shyster, you know, you got to get it how you live. And if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, like my man Steve said back in 2007.
Boom. Well, at least Hernandez died doing what he loved.
Well, guys, I appreciate it. Like I said, you guys have an open invite at any time. I will keep you guys in a loop, but this is it. I'm going to roll into the third and the fourth segment of the show, and we're going to pause for a quick station break. Stay locked, stay tuned. This is You Heard It Here First. Jason and Steve, I appreciate it again. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, man. Have a good one.
Thank you.
No doubt.
You always go out of your way to impress me.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. This is You Heard It Here First. You rocking with me, Charlie. And I was going to be solo dolo in this segment, and I wanted to talk about a few things on the low by myself. But we are now not necessarily pressed for time, but we are pressed for time. So I'm going to have I guess you can say this is now the third guest come on to the show during this is going to be the third and fourth segment. And we're going to get rocking and rolling. This is going to be all NBA talk with my man Ray, who has been on a show a number of times. I want to say this is probably the fourth or fifth time he's been on the show, dating back since the January. So we got some topics we want to discuss, man. We're going to get into the Raptors talk. Who's pressured to win game 6 between the Celtics and the Wiz? Will Joe Johnson receive the same Hall of Fame treatment like Tracy McGrady? And also, what is it going to take for someone to dethrone the Cavs? So how we're going to do this, since we are somewhat pressed for time, we're going to do, I guess, maybe not necessarily debate style, but more of a style in which, I get a few seconds to state my claim and say what I have to say, and Ray gets his minutes, seconds to state what he has to say. So what's going on, Ray? How you doing?
Doing good, man. How's it going?
Oh, it's going, man. It's been a wonderful show. Started off with some beer talk with my man Randy, who's from the East Coast, living in Virginia, in the Virginia area. I don't know if you follow craft beer like that, but a huge craft beer producer in Asheville, North Carolina, by the name of Wicked Weed, decided to sell out to Anheuser-Busch InBev completely, which totally, it just shook up the craft beer community last week. And then we also witnessed Lagunitas from California selling the remaining 50% of their company to Heineken, who owned 50% prior to the sale. So we spoke about that. And then I read an article a couple days ago in regards to competition in the world of, I guess, enjoying yourself as an adult, and what's the biggest threat to craft beer? Is it wine? Is it whiskey? Or is it weed? So that's we discussed that for a few, and then we got into some football topics with my man Steve and my man Jason, where we just went over. I guess you can say we just blasted my Chicago Bears. We spoke about Jason's Chiefs, and then Steve came back on to blast the Chicago Bears because he's from Chicago, so he is a true Bears fan. I'm one of those guys who just grew up watching the Bears, and we decided to just, this year, football season coming up, we're gonna root for a different team. And in this hat here, I chopped up some sheets with 32 different teams. He provided a list with the team's names or mascot names in alphabetical order, and whatever name I pulled or whatever ticket I pulled with the number on that ticket, that's going to be the team that we root for. Lucky enough for me, I was able to get the Houston Texans, which I'm a big Deshaun Watson fan. I wanted the Bears to draft him, but it's good I get to root for a player that I like. I'm not necessarily a big Bill O'Brien fan as the head coach there, and I'm not a J.J. Watt fan. So I'm kind of torn, but it may be a good thing. And he ended up picking number 22, which is the Washington Redskins. And they look like they have some good things going on over there. Just won the division, not last year, but the year before last. And they were competing with the Cowboys to win the division this past season. So it's a good thing. But it's now time for that hardwood talk, something that you and I both enjoy. And this was going to be a solo segment that I was going to do by myself, but might as well run you in, man. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate when people want to talk sports with me. So instead of holding you off until later in the hour, I figured let's go ahead and punch this out together. So for me, I just have a question for you. I'll let you go first, and then I'll go afterwards. But what's next for the Raptors? Should they retain both Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka? Should they part ways with both and rebuild around DeRozan, Valanciunas, and Norman Powell? If you had to give some suggestions to the Toronto Raptors, what would it be?
Honestly, with that squad, I think you should just keep the team intact and just build around and get more key players around the whole team. I know Ujiri, the GM, came out saying, they need a new, reset on the culture. And if that's the case, bring in other players, veteran players, that's gonna deem and bring a better culture to that team. But honestly, if they try to shop Lowry or say let go of Ibaka, I don't think they're gonna get anything back with the same. You're not gonna find another point guard like Lowry that's on the market right now. They're all gonna be too young. Serge Ibaka is a great rim protector, and he's actually develop into more of a stretch four because he's shooting out, outside and I guess working on his 3-point range. Other than that, yeah, like I said, I think they should just keep the team intact. I don't. They were close, but it's just injuries get to them with that team. I don't know. It might be maybe they might need a new coach in a different direction in regards to the offense because the offense is stagnant, and also yeah, that might be the case where they might need a new coach. I think Dwayne Casey's been on like basically the hot seat for the past few years, so that might be the change they need. Maybe that's the culture reset Ujiri was talking about.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because as my man Ray mentioned, the team president said the team needs an off-season culture reset. To me, that sounds like it's time to drop the bomb like Funk Master Flex and blow this team up. The Raptors have participated in the playoffs for the last 4 consecutive seasons under Coach Dwayne Casey, behind this stellar backcourt and DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. They've been great together as a pair, maybe in the top 5 of the best backcourts in the NBA. However, last season and this season, they have fell flat on their face when they stepped on the court with the Cavs. And that happens because, I mean, LeBron James is still in the league, and whatever team he's going to be in, whatever team he's playing on is going to be tough for the opponent. So, I mean, first thing first, if I had a suggestion or if I had something to do with rebuilding or making the Toronto Raptors better, I would promote Jerry Stackhouse from the Raptors D League, and then I would fire Dwayne Casey. That's what I would do. I mean, he's not Jerry Stackhouse is young. I think he's younger than Dwayne Casey. And I would assume that he has a great rapport with some of the young players in the D League. So he knows what the actual NBA team needs based on the fact that he's been coaching the D League. So he would be good with luxury tax questions because these guys in the D League, they just want the opportunity. It doesn't matter how much they're going to get paid. They want the opportunity. So he could put the Toronto Raptors in a great situation by providing up-and-comers the opportunity to play in the NBA. And I'm sure at some point Jerry Stackhouse has the aspirations to be a head coach. And I think he's established a solid reputation to leave from the D League and make it in the NBA. And I mean, you just take a look at my man Derek Fisher didn't necessarily get the opportunity because he was the coach of the Knicks and they were a dumpster fire. But I look at Jason Kidd, who's had that opportunity, and things are going well for him and his young team. So I think it's just time for them to blow the team up. But from the coaching perspective, it's time for them to move on because, as we both know, Dwayne Casey hasn't proven he's ready to get over that hump, and he hasn't shown that he could possibly be the team that would be able to dethrone the Cavs. Another thing I would say is they need to check in mentally and stop making excuses. I mean, they've had Kyle Lowry, they've had DeMar DeRozan, they acquired Serge Ibaka, and he has just that high level of interior presence on that team. So you would think that they would have gave the Cavs a difficult time, but they didn't. And it's not necessarily because they weren't capable of doing it. The injury bug bit them. How many games did Kyle Lowry miss?
I think it was about a game or two.
A game or so. Yeah. And they needed, and what? They swept the Raptors. So health is something they needed. They didn't have it, but they made this move. And I honestly said, I think it was, I don't know if it was you, me, and Jared, or if it was just me and Jared, but we had a conversation regarding the Ibaka move. And I think it was text, so maybe it was just Jared and I talking through text. And I'm just like, you know what? The Eastern Conference was just shaken up a bit by the trade from Ibaka, leaving from the Magic, going to the Toronto Raptors, because that's the type of player they need. I mean, they have the veteran support. They have DeMar Carroll. They have Jonas Valanciunas, Patrick Patterson, PJ Tucker. I mean, they have formidable guys on that team in which they should be able to compete at a high level with the Cavs. and it just hasn't been there. So is it the players or is it the coach? But I mean, after the comments that Dwayne Casey made after game 4, saying, you know, at any time, if you have number 23, you can flip the switch and do what you want. So basically, he's just letting his team know it doesn't matter what we do, we're not going to beat them. And I think that's what the president means by we need a culture reset. So I expect Dwayne Casey to be fired. I don't know who's going to be the coach, but the fact I did some research and know that Jerry Stackhouse is the head coach of their D-League affiliate team, I think it's only smart to say that Jerry Stackhouse may be the guy that they promote. So that's that. Also think maybe they should just try to develop Jonas Valanciunas on the defensive end of the ball. He's an offensive monster. There isn't a problem for him on offense. I mean, he's averaging like 10 points a game throughout his career. And then he averaged more rebounds this season than he did last year. But his defense, more specifically, his defensive speed, it's just not there. He's not a bad defender. He was just exposed and exposed based on a lack of speed, especially when the Raptors would match up with a team that played at a quicker pace. And the Cavs at some point can play at a quicker pace. The Boston Celtics play at a quicker pace. The Wizards play at a quicker pace. And also, I would say the Atlanta Hawks play at a quicker pace. And he just wasn't out there providing that defensive cushion that he would need when a guy like Serge Ibaka would be able to step out. He couldn't protect the rim well enough. So he's a guy that they need to develop more. I mean, he's a young guy. They paid the guy, a 4-year, $64 million in 2015. So they have him for 2 more years. They need to get the best out of him. And I honestly think they should bring back Kyle Lowry. And when I say bring back Kyle Lowry, like they need to bring him back and he needs to be healthy. I was listening to Colin Cowherd earlier today, and he said something like, we should be praying that the Warriors win the championship. Therefore, big time free agents that plan to move during the free agency period, they'll stay where they're at because they know if we don't have a Steph Curry, if we don't have a Klay Thompson, if we don't have a Kevin Durant, if we don't have a Draymond Green, there's no way we're going to win the title. So let's just stay where we're at, get all this money and try to build something with the team we have, because no matter where we move, we're not going to beat those guys. And I honestly think if a guy like Kyle Lowry was healthy, if he was healthy, I think they would have gave the Cavaliers some problems. But the fact that he wasn't healthy, that was it. So if someone were to ask me what's next for the Raptors, retain Kyle Lowry, part ways with Ibaka, and continue to develop the talent around Lowry and DeMar DeRozan with Valanciunas and Norman Powell. But I think you have to fire Dwayne Casey and get a new coach. And if you were to get a new coach, I would say promote Jerry Stackhouse.
Yeah, I think we hit the right on the head. They need to get rid of Casey. Unfortunately, he hasn't done anything with his comments during the playoffs. And you got to look at now with the modern day NBA coaches, they're looking at more younger coaches that are in tune with the players in regards to whatever it be the personalities. You got Fizdale that came from Miami, that's in Memphis, and you would think, oh, with a new coach they would drop and not do anything, but they responded like, they respect the hell out of the guy. You see what he did in playoffs. He had his team like respecting him more because he had their back. You gotta look at Luke being a Laker coach. He's young, Spoelstra, hell of a coach for being that young. And I think he was like, him and D'Antoni was like just awarded by the Coaches Association as the Coaches of the Year. So it gives dividends in regarding the coaches and going towards that trend. And yeah, I forgot about Jerry Stackhouse being a D-League coach. Actually, that would be a great thing. And look at what Jason Kidd's been doing in Milwaukee. They took, and honestly, I thought Milwaukee was going to take Toronto out of the playoffs.
You and me both. It got to the point where I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I cannot believe the Toronto Raptors with what they have. I mean, they have the meat and potatoes on that team versus a McDonald's number 2 meal, and it looks like they are about to be put out of the playoffs by number 2 meal over the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, and you gotta look at it as well too. Like, I think it was we did talk about the Barkley thing. It was about like a month or two ago when the trade happened. We're like, oh, that's gonna change, them going in the playoffs. But it didn't transpire the way everybody thought it would. I guess again, injuries. Laurie got injured, whether it be before or during the All-Star weekend. He was out for a couple weeks. They couldn't gel together, and it's just unfortunate. But yeah, going forward, like we'll see what happens. And yeah, if they need to part with anybody, I agree. It'd probably be Ibaka, because you need, at least with Valanciunas, you have a big guy. That the only problem is his defense. If anybody he needs to watch Mark Gortat. He's a hell of a pick and roll defender, and and he could play offense too, but he makes a difference because he's able to stretch out and stick out on a on pick and roll. Same thing. Well, fortunately, is out, but he does the same thing. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I know, before we parted ways today, you said you were going to get home and watch Game 5 here between the Celtics and the Wizards. So if I were to say, in less than 10 words, describe to me how you felt while watching that massacre, what would the statement be, or what would the response be in less than 10 words?
Quote Charles Barkley, that was horrible.
So did you expect that?
No, honestly, I didn't expect that. I would think, honestly, like they were saying on Inside the NBA, well, watching the game, they got punched in the face and didn't come back. It was a 16-0 run. I think they were up by 20 already before the half. And honestly, I think Washington didn't come out. They didn't respond, and it's unfortunate because it's playing basketball. You can't depend that, because after this we're going back home and we're confident enough to win. It's the playoffs. You need to win on the road. And it comes to it, if the Wizards get to the next round, they're going to be on the road against the Cavs. Cavs end up getting the home court advantage. I think that's what the Cavs want in a sense. But again, regardless, Cleveland, the reason why they're winning, or even going to see, because they're winning on the road. These teams are not winning on the road. Even the same thing with the well, actually, no, I can't say anything with the Western Conference because I think both teams have won at each other's house. It's a different story, but yeah,
between the Rockets and the Spurs, I think
they won one. Yeah, one each. So, but yeah, honestly, I thought it would be a better showing. Is just like the same thing with TNT. Like you get one good game and then you get another blowout. Yesterday's game with Houston and San Antonio, that was that's what you want in the playoff series. But this is like, okay, you better show up on Friday and hope you don't go home or stay home. I mean, with the Wizards. So
so check this out. Who do you think has the most pressure to win in Game 6 based on the results of tonight? Who has the most pressure?
Most pressure, it has to be the Wizards because, of course, they're going to be at home. And again, there's going to be all eyes on them and how they're going to respond to this game. For me, Boston, they're in the driver's seat. They have they swung back the momentum to their end. And again, you got players that stepped up today. I believe Isaiah only had 18 points, but shoot, Bradley had 29, and he was playing. Who else stepped up? I saw Amir Johnson stepping up. Who else? I think Horford didn't miss. I think he had like 19 points, 7 and 6. So everybody stepped up to help out because the last game the Wizards were so focused on stopping Isaiah, nobody else was able to help out. And I think that's what the adjustments they made to get this win. And let's see what Scott Brooks and the rest of the Wizards could do to make adjustments. But I think the pressure's on the Wizards because they need to push us to the Game 7 and show up like they did in the first 2 games at Boston and to make it interesting. So I'm actually hoping for both series, even the Western Conference, to go Game 7. But if Kawhi plays tomorrow, I think Spurs might close that out.
Cool. Well, I'm actually gonna say the pressure is on the Celtics to close out the series on the road. And I can't remember if if they won a road game against the series versus Chicago. But for me, the Cavs have been off and resting since May 7th. And the Eastern Conference Finals will take place around the end of next week. So I think it would be pertinent for the Celtics to just wrap up things come Friday night, allowing them some time to rest and get ready to host the number 2 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't have much faith in either team beating the Cavs, but I like my chance with the Celtics because they have home court. And that's something that the Wizards don't have. And as you mentioned, if they can't win road games, if they do get out of this series, they're going to have to play on the road. And granted, so the format for the Eastern Conference Finals is just the same as is the finals. So, I mean, I guess if they were a road team in the finals, it's kind of cool because it favors you because you get those 3 games at home in a row opposed to 2 break, 2 1-1-1. So, I mean, it could be a problem.
They changed that format. Yeah, I think they went back to 2 1-1 and 1.
Okay.
I think the travel time. I think that's what they were thinking.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, still, same thing. Is just as you mentioned, they can't win on the road. They will have to play on the road, and since the Celtics play so well at home, it will be pertinent for them to just go ahead. Let's go ahead and wipe these guys out on Friday. You'll probably get the entire weekend, and the Eastern Conference Finals will probably start in the middle of the week or maybe like on the 15th or 16th or something like that, opposed to you stretch it out, you don't get much time to rest. So I'm going to say the pressure is on the Celtics to go ahead and close these guys out and get a W. That's how I feel. But I like what you said as far as the Wizards because they are a formidable team. You have Wall, you have Bill, you have Gortat, you have Otto Porter. And then you have some solid bench players that can go out there and get you some buckets when you need them. But you have 4 guys that are excellent players. And tonight, they just didn't show up. And they started off with a 15 or 16-0 run, and they didn't look back at all. So you got the Wizards. I got the Celtics. We'll bet coffee. All right. We'll bet coffee.
Right. Sounds good.
Like you just gonna put me into a bet that I didn't agree with. How you just gonna do that? Normally people ask.
No, sounds good. Yeah, and regarding the Celtics, they did win the 2 games over Chicago because Rondo was out, so they did win road games. So I think they won 4 straight and then finished that series. Yeah, but yeah, like you said, it's honestly with this series, if anything, I would. The Celtics have the advantage if they go into the next round just because they have home court, and I think it might be a more interesting story because after watching the series, I don't know if the Wizards have the mental fortitude to go against the Cavs because I don't know who's going to show up from the Wizards to go against the Cavs. The Cavs are like just beyond where these teams are at. The closest would be Boston in regards to competition-wise. So we'll see how it goes. Most likely I think this series still goes to 7. If anything, but we'll see. And if not, you got coffee.
Well, the crazy thing is I don't drink coffee. That's why I was just like, well, I normally when I want to bet somebody and it's going to be up in the air, I'll just be like, I'll say something I don't like. Therefore, I can be like, I really don't like coffee, so we're good. I like to
Same here.
I like to gamble, so it's just like if you win, hopefully you don't like coffee. And then
the funny thing, the funny thing about it is I think we're the only 2 people in the office
that don't like coffee.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I just want to ask you a quick question, and I just need maybe like a 30, 45-second answer. Will Joe Johnson receive the same Hall of Fame treatment like Tracy McGrady? So I'm gonna just run down his numbers really quick. As of April 24th, 2017, Basketball Reference give Joe Johnson a 50.56% chance of making the Hall of Fame. Only a handful of players with predicted odds that low have been elected. And we got Yao Ming, Dennis Johnson, and Chris Mullin. But all of them have a better resume than Joe Johnson. So as of April 24th, he's logged 43,029 minutes. That's 23rd all time. 20,033, 46 all time. And points and rebounds, 4,886, and that's just outside of the top 250 players. 4,918 assists, 63rd overall. 7-time All-Star appearances, never a starter. And all-time NBA team, the third team, one time. Only 12 players have more than 1,000 games and have averaged 15 plus points, 4 plus rebounds, and 4 plus assists per game for their careers. And those 11 players are, we got Chamberlain, Jordan, James, Robertson, Bryant, Drexler, Havlicek, Pippen, Greer, Hill, and Wilkins. So that's a rock star list that is not named Joe Johnson, but he matched up with those guys. So do you think at some point, since we witnessed this year Tracy McGrady get inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame, do you think Joe Johnson will receive the same treatment?
I think Joe Johnson, with the resume, he'll get in the Hall of Fame, but not as quick as Tracy did. I think it's going to be a while. It's going to take a long while for him to get into. It's not like a first ballot kind of Hall of Fame choice. I would give it like maybe 5-6 years after he retires. If whenever he retires, because he still has a couple years left to go. Look at what he did in the playoffs, man. He was the go-to player for Utah, and he's been like that since he was in Phoenix. I think that one year where I think his face got messed up in the playoffs, they could have gone farther than they should have. And unfortunately, the teams he went to after that, which would be Atlanta and Brooklyn, it just didn't pan out. I think Brooklyn was he just got money. He just got paid.
Yeah, he got paid. He got paid there. Got paid. Overpaid, but he got paid.
Yeah. And it didn't pan out. Honestly, they could have had a good team, but Darren Williams didn't show up when he was in Brooklyn. So, but yeah, he's had a great career. He's a quiet like resume, because he's not the flashiest player. He's not polarizing like T-Mac. T-Mac, he had athleticism, his dunks. He was a great one-on-one player. And same thing with Joe, but I would think he'll make it, but I just don't think it would be anytime soon. It's just going to take a minute for him to get there. Hopefully they respect the resume, because again, recently, like, you had people with that's more defensive minded. Like Yao Ming, the reason I think he made it is not only because he is the culture change. He brought something different to basketball, which is a lot to say. He brought in, inspired a lot of Asian, the culture to embrace basketball. Well, they embrace it really hard over in Asia, Philippines, Japan, and all that. But with Joe, I think he's a great player, but he's not known at like T-Mac. I was surprised that T-Mac got in as soon as he did. Even though, did he ever pass the first round of the playoffs?
I don't think so.
No, right? Even with Houston, right? Well, San Antonio, would that count? Even though he was on the bench?
I guess you can say that counts.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, but other than when he was a focal point, he didn't get past the first round, so it's hard to say. Like, he did make it to the playoffs, but I don't think he got any MVP awards. I think maybe got a few scoring titles. Maybe he has something up on Joe in regards to the scoring titles. But again, Joe wasn't never really the focal point on any of those teams. T-Mac was the main dude
and the guy on the team. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, when he got to the Magic, it was supposed to be Grant Hill, but Grant Hill's injuries. But then this when Tracy became his own player. Then when he got to Houston, and then downward from there, because where else did he play? Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit for a minute, and the Spurs, and then he eventually retired.
Yeah, and that was it. Yeah, so if you have to compare it, it's just more, I think Tracy had a little bit more accolades in a sense for him to get into the Hall of Fame. With Joe, he'll get there. It's just time will tell.
Cool. Well, before we go on to a quick break and head to the show wrap, I was asked a couple days ago, what will it take for some team in the Eastern Conference to dethrone the Cavs from the top spot? And this is what I came up with. And you tell me if it's feasible or not, okay? To me, I think if anything, the Washington Wizards need Kevin Durant to win the championship in Golden State in 2017. And then Kevin Durant opt out of his contract for the 2017-18 season. And he decides that I want to go home and pull a LeBron James. And then at that point, they would have to trade the guy, Ian Mahinmi. I can't believe they like paid this guy so much money, but he's getting paid like $16 million for 2017-18 and over $30 million between 17 or after 2017-18. So I think he has like 3 more years on his deal. Next year he'll be paid $16 million, and the next 2 years a total of $30 million. I honestly know nothing about this guy for the Washington Wizards. I don't even think he's in the lineup. And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess it's because I just know Otto Porter. I pay attention to Beal. I pay attention to Wall and Gortat, that I can't remember who this guy is. And the only person that I can remember that's a big and in his position, and he's no longer even on the team, is Chris Humphries. So who is this guy, Ian Mahinmi? Who is that?
Did he play for Dallas? Like, off the bench?
I do not even know who this guy is.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he paid him like $60 million. What?
No, he didn't come from. It's either he was Dallas or he was with the Pacers last year.
I'm gonna have,
and he was like,
I'm gonna have to look more into it, because I honestly, I mean, for me, I was just looking at their roster and see what they can do. So I figure, if you trade this guy and you get some pieces, you dump his $16 million, but you also dump $30 million of his contract to another team. But who's going to pick that up? I mean, you have to trade some pieces. After that, you're left with $77 million. And the cap is supposed to be at 102 for 17-18 basketball season. That leaves you with $25 million to lock up KD. And then you have to find a way to make some moves and make some trades to lock up Otto Porter, because he will be a free agent this summer as well. So I guess for me, to dethrone the Cavaliers, the Washington Wizards seem like the team to do it based on their backcourt. The Celtics seem like the team to do it based on just coaching, and they have a good core of guys. But I think if you have a backcourt with John Wall, Bradley Beal, you have Gortat playing at a high level, even at his age, and you can find a way to get a KD and also sign Otto Porter, I think you have a way. I don't know how you feel about that, but you got 2 minutes. Tell me if that's even possible, if it's feasible.
It's feasible if you're right. The Warriors have to win the championship for something to change in the East. So for someone to dethrone the Cavs, because someone, whether it be Durant or somebody else, go to the Wizards and make that team like much better to really compete and make a difference for that team. And also B, if the Cavs lose, who's to say LeBron doesn't bolt and go somewhere else? and that's the other way that would happen. Or they trade other players to make the team better, which doesn't guarantee that they're going to be as strong as they were. I don't know what contract situation the Cavs is. I think they're like up on the cap or whatever, but who else needs to get paid on that team? Are they going to be able to retain, I think they did pay J.R. Smith, but it wasn't like, I think it was minimum or whatever. Is Kyrie's contract up soon? I know Kevin Love got an extension. I know when his opt out, LeBron, it's year to year. He could decide, let me go play with CP3 or Carmelo before my career ends, and try to do something then. We'll see what happens. But if that happens, but I highly doubt KD's gonna go back. If any team he goes back to, if any team he does go back to, I think he'll go back to OKC. Just because he started his career there, and we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a big thing with regarding the finals, because it's just a collision course for the Warriors and the Cavs to meet, and it goes from there. What happens with the offseason? If the Warriors can't make it and win with Durant, that says a lot. What do you guys need to beat? LeBron's team is LeBron James. That means do you need like a whole reset as well? Or and the same thing with the Cavs. Is it just are you guys like fatigued going in there? What was it 3 years, 4 years?
3 years. This would be 3 years. They lost
Yeah,
one,
3,
1, and it's about to be the third year, but it's about to be LeBron James, like seventh NBA
7 or 8.
Finals. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is he fatigued as well? Is he gonna need to figure like, oh, I can't be the not to say he could still be the main person. You know, I don't doubt that he could be still the top player on the team, but does he feel like, oh, I need somebody else to help with the workload still, you know, for him to just like, oh, guide the team. But for them to get these thrown, it either has to be, yeah, somebody goes to one of the even no, say not even what is say someone goes to Boston, you know, that makes a difference. Another score to help out Isaiah, and that can make a difference. Defensively, I think they're fine. I think they just need another scorer or another threat on offense to help out space out the floor a little bit more, whether it be another shooter for Boston, and then be like I said, whether LeBron goes somewhere else. And the last thing would be just injuries because they like resting players, but again, like Kevin Love, it seems like he's like injured almost like in and out of the season. I haven't seen him play a full season since he's been in Minnesota. Who's to say if they use him, like if things don't go right, they end up trading him to get other pieces. We'll see what happens.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause for a quick 10-second station break. Stay locked, stay tuned. This is You Heard It Here First. All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is You Heard It Here First. Welcome back. Fourth segment of the show, and I'm still here rocking with my man Ray. And we're going to get into, I want to say, four or three topics that I presented to Ray. Most importantly, I guess it would be the Western Conference Finals. Who would present the best matchup for the Warriors? Or as a fan, what do you think is the best matchup for the Warriors? Is it going to be the San Antonio Spurs without Tony Parker and possibly with Kawhi Leonard and a busted ankle? Or is it going to be a great matchup with Mike D'Antoni's offense and James Harden without Nene? What do you think, Ray? What's the best matchup for the Western Conference Finals? The Warriors versus the San Antonio Spurs, or the Warriors versus the Houston Rockets?
Honestly, well, at first, before Nene got hurt, I was hoping it was going to be a Rockets-Warriors series just because they have similar – it's going to be up and down, running gun. And it's going to be basically a shootout. And they basically somewhat kind of run the same type of flow of offense, same pace. And it's basically who's going to outshoot, who's going to be a more defensive-minded, whoever's going to get out-coached. But with the injuries to both teams, I'd rather – and if it's going to be a challenge to the Warriors, I have to go with the Spurs. You got one of the greatest and best coaches that's still in the league with Pop. So he's going to find a way to try to, whether it be isolate the shooters and figure out, just have one person beat them, but not beat them like too much. But also, with the loss of Tony Parker, but Tony Parker was aging. It's not like he was honestly going to make a big difference in the playoffs. And you got the big guys. I think with Powell, if LaMarcus shows up in the series, and they got a good bench of players coming in. And with Kawhi hurt, honestly, I saw his ankle roll yesterday. It wasn't that big. I think they were just being more cautious. I've hurt my ankle, and that was minor. I've seen worse ankle injuries. And if they get the rest, which he will get the rest, if I'm hoping they close out tomorrow before the next game, they should be fine. And also defensively, they have they're a good defensive team. They have Danny Green that could step up and help. Jonathan Simmons stepping up as well. He's been like an X factor, and who's to say Ginobili doesn't have more games like he did yesterday?
Old school Ginobili. All he needed was a toupee, and that's old school Ginobili.
Pretty much, he showed Harden like he was the original Euros, lefty. So that was, we'll see. Honestly, going forward, I would think I would have to go with the Spurs just because the matchup difference they could give against the Warriors. Because if the big guys should pound it in and make it tough on them, because the Warriors don't have too many big men that could. Yeah, JaVale's showing up, but it's just because he's getting open in regards to how the offense is running. But defensively, he could get shut out as well. David West hasn't really shown so much, with the Warriors. And who else do you have on the bench? McAdoo, and they're pretty small, and that's pretty much it. And off the bench, San Antonio has like David Lee, and I think they have some other few people that could help out. But again, they have veterans on that team, so I have to go with the Spurs.
And you know what? I said the Spurs as well, and you explained to the T, so I'm not even going to go through what I think. But the number one thing you said, excuse me, in which I agree with is the fact coaching, because Popovich is going to find a way to ensure that he's not being beat by Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. One of those guys is going to beat him. Not all four, not three of the four, not two of the four. It's just going to be one, and he's going to find a way to ensure that three of those guys are out of the game completely, and hopefully whoever's assigned to beat us, they have an off night, and then the Stallions that we have on our team can go out there and do what we need to do. We can get a good game out of Ginobili. We can get a spectacular game out of Kawhi. We can get some help on the bench. Patty Mills can step up. Simmons can step up, and whoever else on that team. Danny Green can hit some big shots. And I think Popovich will rely on that based on his experience playing in 5 championships and winning 5 championships, and also just winning at the highest level as a coach in the NBA, and by far one of the best coaches in the NBA currently. So I agree with you. The best matchup for the Warriors would be the San Antonio Spurs. So
yeah, and also with defensive wise, I think also too, the Spurs they could run 2 people at Steph, which would be Patty Mills, because he's okay defensively because he's quick enough to stay with him, and then also you could have Danny Green on him, which presents a height issue there. Yeah, height issue, and then also with KD, you could put Kawhi, Jonathan Simmons as well, and Danny Green on KD, but also have them switch also to on Steph. So defensively, I think it would be a great matchup. And pick and roll, Powell and LaMarcus play decent pick and roll defense. It's not like the greatest, but at least they know how to rotate. Even David Lee plays decent pick and roll defense, especially with the structure they have in that defensive scheme that they have for San Antonio. But yeah, I think coaching wise, I have to give it a pop, because if D'Antoni's there, he's just going to think, we need to just outscore them. But you need a defensive mindset, especially, if you want to go further and win a championship.
Cool. Now, last week, I think I had you in the segment when I was discussing what's next for Chris Paul. Obviously, if you're a Los Angeles Clippers fan, you want Chris Paul to stay in LA. But there's been rumors around the New York Knicks. There's been rumors around the San Antonio Spurs. There's also been rumors around the New Orleans Pelicans. So I'm totally going to just get rid of the fact that the Clippers are in the mix and the New York Knicks are in the mix. Which is a better big three? CP3, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Kawhi Leonard, or CP3, Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins?
Between those, I would have to go with San Antonio still, because
okay.
I would go with San Antonio because, first of all, again, you're going to be coached by Popovich. He's going to utilize you as efficiently as possible, but also you have better options with Kawhi there and LaMarcus, so you could run a pick and roll, kick out to Kawhi or whatever. With New Orleans, the thing is they don't have anybody else besides DeMarcus and Anthony Davis. Yeah, you can both run pick and roll, but how much lane space is CP3 going to get in regards of getting to the basket and everybody else getting to key spaces? He's a great floor leader, but honestly, I think it would be a better big three with Kawhi and with LaMarcus. I think might be honestly, when you pose that, I was like, I didn't even think about San Antonio being an option, but now with Tony Parker most likely headed to maybe retirement or not even having that much minutes or whatever it may be, it might be a better fit if that's what CP wants to do in regards to having a better chance trying to get out of the West to be with San Antonio and get past the Warriors. And I think the only way he'll go back to New Orleans if he's planning to retire and go back into his original team. That's the only way I can see him going back to the Pelicans. But other than that, if I was CP3, I would look at what you have on each team, and I'd go with the Spurs in regards to being a better big three, because you'll have a big three, but then you have surrounding players that would help be a better team.
Cool. And I'm actually gonna I haven't blogged in a while, but I'm actually going to blog on that. But I just wanted to hear someone else. Maybe I can steal something from someone before I post my blog. But I'm actually going to blog on that. So please check out the Tumblr page at You Heard It Here First. I have it posted during the weekend on what I think is the best big three. So CP3 LaMarcus Aldridge, and Kawhi Leonard versus CB3, Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins. Moving on, knowing you from the Los Angeles area, you knowing a lot about Big Baller Brand, LeVar Ball, and his three boys. You living in California and knowing a lot about the Warriors as well. If you had to choose between the Zoe 2 by Big Baller Brand or the Curry 3 by Under Armour, which shoes would you rock on the court?
On the court? Oh,
on the court.
I wouldn't rock. I wouldn't rock any of those shoes.
You had to choose.
If I had to, oh man. If I had to choose, honestly, I have to look at what the technology. For me, I'm a more tech. I gotta know what is what's the science with the shoe, because I'm not gonna put on a shoe and say the Alonzo shoe is just there by looks. Yeah, it might look better than Steph's shoe, but Steph's shoe might have, I have to look at the text, because if that shoe, I put it on and busted the first 3 minutes of me being on the court, I can't do nothing with it. But oh man, honestly, if it was me, I don't wear Under Armour shoes for balling, because I never grew up wearing them. I never experienced rocking their stuff other than maybe their shirts and stuff like that for working out. But I probably have to go with Steph's, because I probably have to go with the ankle support and the responsiveness probably with his shoes, because I know they probably cater to that, especially because I play the guard position. I just can't see myself paying $500 for a shoe that I don't know what technology is in there. What are you putting in there? Are you putting gel caps, or what kind of materials you're using in the shoe? Is it going to be durable? Stuff like that. That's going to last in the game. Is it breathable? Shoe. People wear all the elite socks. Yeah, the dry fit or wherever they're wearing, but is it still going to be breathable for where my feet are not going to swell up and get stuck to the shoe? How is that? It's a low cut shoe, so how much support is there to that shoe? But yeah, if I had to choose between the two, I would still have to give it to Steph. I would just have to rock the Currys, even though they may look like grandpa shoes and whatever style it may be, but they're proven to be on the court. I haven't seen what the Zoes have done. Maybe we'll see what happens whether they show him
Summer League. Maybe he'll probably have a pair in Summer League.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be at the combine, so then he probably skipped that, so we won't see him doing anything with that. But yeah, and the funny thing about it too is that with the brothers going to UCLA is Under Armour now, so they have a big contract with Under Armour for the next few 20 years or whatever contract that is. So yeah, I wouldn't, honestly, if the shoe's not proven yet, I would have to go with Steph's shoes.
Well, for me, honestly, I'm gonna have to take the Big Baller Brand shoe, and only because it looks like a Kobe, and outside of the Jordan 12s, the best shoe that I've put on the play in, I want to say since 2008, would have been any of the Kobe Bryant models, any one of those, and then I would say second after the 12s and the Kobe 4s and beyond, I would have to say the LeBron James. Oh man, I would have to go with the LeBron James. The 8s were the best LeBron James shoes to play in. So the 8s and the 9s, and I think those playoff edition 10s, and then the 11s, the 12s, and the 13, they just got too heavy. But the LeBron James 8, great shoe to play ball in. The Kobe 4s and beyond, great shoe to play in. And the Michael Jordan 12s. So if I had to choose between the two, I'm sorry, Curry and Under Armour, but I'm going to have to go with the unproven Zoe 2s by Big Baller Brand. BBB, baby.
Yeah, when they hit the outlet, because that price point is ridiculous.
Price point is crazy. Too crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Too crazy. You know, apparently they sold, 300 pairs, but who's to say? You know,
Yeah.
I think someone did research about it. I think it was Ice Kicks or something like that. And yeah, but between those two, honestly, if that was me in high school or whatever, even now, I wouldn't rock either shoe. I'll say true to the point wearing some Kobe's, even those the Jordan 31s that Westbrook and Kawhi be wearing, because those are actually comfy. I tried those on. Yeah, and to me, like, shoot. I told you old school pro models back in the day.
You did mention the pro models.
Yeah. Kobe Crazy 8s when he was with Adidas. Only those two models really with Kobe, because I wouldn't rock any of the bullet looking shoe that he had, because those were uncomfortable and ugly as hell.
Space boots.
Yeah, the space boots. Even I think he had the USA flag one too. They had for 9/11. I think he had one of those in the flag colorway. But yeah, and then 18s were really comfy. Because I know when I was playing high school, the 12s were just ridiculously heavy because they felt like boots. I know that retros now they're lighter, and they reduce a lot of the weight on it. But yeah, I was watching something with LeVar being on Undisputed with Skip Bayless, and he's like, yeah, Jordan couldn't command a $500 shoe because he's not my son. I'm like, dude, Jordan's not gonna put it out there, and for a $500 shoe, honestly, yeah, Jordan shoes could resell like triple the amount. Yeah, you know, depending on the rarity. And even I think Shaq put him on blast, saying like, "Why are you gonna charge kids, you know, for these shoes?" But you know, again, I don't think that's LeVar's business scheme, because it's not towards the kids playing ball. It's more, I guess, what he said is a premium athletic shoe. So you know, he has his business. I can't, you know, I'm not hating on what he's trying to do. Is I think Stephon Marbury was talking about, hey, you know, go for it. You know, Stephon did the same thing. He didn't want to be under a certain contract, and you know, but he wanted to offer lower end shoes because where he was from, because growing up he couldn't afford it. But this is a different, you know, aspect where LeVar said it's not about the millions, it's about the billions. So we'll see.
LeVar Ball, baby.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, you know. So yeah, we'll see what happens, and hopefully, you know, Lonzo shows up and, you know, can cash those checks for his dad. So we'll see.
Cool. Well, I got one more thing for you, Ray, and it's something that I guess I want to approach it next week, but I don't know how interested you are in the Charles Barkley 2-part TV series that airs tonight, actually after the basketball game, if I'm not mistaken. But
I mean, actually, I think it airs tomorrow. But if you have,
so it's Thursday and Friday then.
Yeah, but if you have Infinity, if you have Infinity, I just checked it out. It's actually on demand already, so you could actually watch it tonight.
Okay,
cool. All four episodes. I haven't checked it out yet.
Okay, so I thought it was a 2-part series. I didn't know it was 4 episodes.
Yeah, I think it started out with a 2-part, and then I think they're continuing on with maybe 1 episode per week. But it's already all on demand to like check out all 4 episodes, which is something I'm gonna check out because it seems interesting.
Okay, yeah, no, because since I know that, I guess what I'll do is next week, ladies and gentlemen, that's something we will cover. So if you are in the market or need something to watch in your spare time in the evening, please go ahead and watch the Charles Barkley series where he covers race in America. It's going to be something we're going to discuss on the show. Hopefully we can get some good dialect. And, you know, if you see this video, whether it be on Facebook, Twitter, or even YouTube, go ahead, comment sections. Let us know how you feel about each episode, because it's going to be something we're going to talk about. But with that being said, Ray, I guess I'm going to let you go, man, because it's about to be show wrap for me. I'm going to wrap up the show and go ahead and end my night and try to process this show and get it edited before the weekend so everyone can peep it out. So as always, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on talking sports with me. And most likely I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good, man. It's always a pleasure.
All right,
man.
Cool.
Until next time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Take care.
All right, you too.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, show wrap time. And like I always say, I love the show wrap time because it lets me know that I made it through a show. It felt good. I enjoyed it. And I had a good time. You know what I'm saying? We started off the show with my man Randy talking all things beer. We moved into the second segment of the show with my man Jason and Steve. We had some little audio issues, but man, that don't mean anything. We do this off the top of the dome. We have a producer, not necessarily in our ear, but we have someone who tries to keep us on track with what we need to do, and we do it. So I'll make sure I go in there and I'll make sure that portion of the show is awesome and it's something you enjoy. Pull no punches. I don't edit out everything. This is raw and uncut, so you're gonna get each and everything that's going through this microphone and going into the system. You're gonna get everything. So beer talk in the first segment, NFL talk in the second segment, third and fourth segment, NBA talk, and now we're at the show wrap, where I want to say special thank you and a special shout out to Marlena for producing yet another show. I also want to say happy early Mother's Day. We've been parents now for 3 years and it's been wonderful. But without Marlena, this family isn't a family, so I have to thank her. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for what you do, not only for Kingston being his mom, but for me being my spouse in our relationship. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. And I also want to say, thank you again for what you do in the medical field. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know, but I think it started last Friday or Saturday up until this Friday or Saturday. It's Nurses Week. So if you see a nurse, thank a nurse. Now, this video is going to be posted slightly after Nurses Week, but just go up to someone who's a nurse and say, hey, thank you for what you do, because last week was Nurses Week and I didn't see you or I didn't know, but I want to thank you. So Jason, thank you for being a nurse, man. I appreciate you coming on to the show and going out there and I guess, making lives better. You know what I'm saying? Doing what you do as a nurse. It takes a special person to do that. And I applaud you and I applaud Marlena for doing that as well. Thanks to Steve. Thanks to Randy. Thanks to Ray. Thanks to Jason again for the assistance tonight. I'm ready for the beach. I'm already checked out of this week. I'm just ready for work to be over. I'm ready to go to the beach, have a good time. I'm ready to run my modified beer mile. I'm ready to just relax, eat some premium meats. That sounds funny. Have wonderful desserts, snack it up, drink it up, relax, and have a great time. So with that being said, be sure to follow me on Twitter at YHIHF, Instagram at Remember the Solution. Click that subscribe button, whether it be on YouTube, SoundCloud, or iTunes. Until next time, I'm out. This is You Heard It Here First. Peace.
So I went to see my father. Many questions on my mind.